What the heck is going on? Why are y'all up so early? Good morning from the Superbook.com sports desk. I'm Robert Walsh. The Titans had another lengthy injury report yesterday as 9 players did not practice, including Dylan Raditz, Ryan Tannehill, and Ben Jones, who is out with a concussion. Jeffrey Simmons, NPF, Amani Hooker, Aaron Brewer, and Danico Autry were all limited, and Traylon Burks was a full participant. The Texans don't have as many, though, on their injury report, but still some big names as Laramie Tunsil, first-round pick Kenyon Green, and Nico Collins did not participate. And tonight in bowl action at 9 p.m., the R&L Carriers New Orleans Bowl. You don't need 40 bowls in 14 days to figure where that's played at. Western Kentucky takes on South Alabama on ESPN. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and the Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Six o'clock, good morning. This is Ramon Kayla and Will on 104.5 The Zone. It is Wednesday, so yeah, it's Wednesday.
It's one day, though, till your vacation.
Today is the day
That's
that
right.
he leaves us.
Right.
10:01, I'm out.
Out of here.
Out, gone.
Man, I wish
You
I could
will
say the
see
same.
the exhaust trail from the car as I just pull out of this parking lot and I'm out.
Just dust.
As I head up to my native land of Western Pennsylvania for the next 6 days following that for the Christmas holiday. To my left, 11-year NFL veteran and Vol for life. He is wearing the Santa hat for the second day in a row. The coolest Santa you would ever want to talk to and meet. He is Ramon Foster.
That is I, my friends. Good morning.
To my right, she puts the capital J in journalism, bold, underlined, and italicized. She is affectionately known as KK and also known as Kayla Anderson.
I would not put affectionate anywhere near my title.
And we're saving that.
I'm trying to share in the Christmas spirit here. And that is further proof that no good deed goes unpunished around here.
Yeah.
There's no question about that.
I joke.
I get.
But do you though?
Really? Are you though? Is there an
No,
element of truth to it?
Not really.
Not really. Yeah.
Unless
Sorry,
you go.
not sorry. Behind the glass today, filling in for me, he's the best substitute teacher in the
In the
world.
world.
Craig. He's Robert Walsh, but we call him affectionately, unlike Kayla, Bert.
What's going on?
What's going
Got
on?
Bert behind the glass. I am Jonathan Schaefer, the best producer in the world.
The best producer in the world.
Filling in for the loafing
you.
Will Bowling today.
Loaf.
He's raisin bread today.
Yeah, he is.
Is he raising bread or
No.
raisin bread?
Raisin bread.
Raisin bread.
Oh, I actually like raisin bread, though.
Just act like you don't.
Okay, I hate it.
There you go.
We hate it.
Absolutely hate it with apple butter.
Yeah. Oh, with apple butter?
Yes. No, hate it with apple butter.
Yeah, see? Thank you. You can't see this unless you're on Zone TV. Wink,
Yeah,
wink.
wink. By the way,
Apple butter is one of the great spreads of life. Apple butter.
it is.
Yeah.
By the way, this is one of those days where I wish he was here because there was something that happened last night and early this morning that I know he hates it.
All right.
What?
We'll tease that for a little bit later.
Because now I'm interested.
Because I'm very intrigued by that. That's
Yeah.
the best professional tease you've ever had in this
Good
business,
job.
Ramon.
You know what?
That is
I'm
well
learning.
done.
I'm learning, baby.
Ramon Kayla and Will, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors. When trust matters, count on All Four Seasons Garage Doors in Nashville. Professional garage door installation and repair from a locally owned and family-run business. Visit allfourseasonsgarages.com/Nashville. All guests courtesy of the Mark Spain Real Estate Hotline. Those guests today include Brian Rice, Spicy Rice.
Spicy.
99.1 The Sports Animal from Knoxville, also the voice of the Lady Vols. Rhett Bryan will be in studio today, as he is every Wednesday. And then Inky Johnson, midweek motivation. We need it, as always, coming up at the end of the show. Live on Zone TV, YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch. You can also follow us on Twitter at Ramon Kayla Will. And this next piece of information I'm going to pass along is highly unexpected and also breaking news coming out of the city of Pittsburgh just 2 days from the actual 50th anniversary of the Immaculate Reception and an entire weekend celebration planned in Pittsburgh with the nationally televised Raiders-Steelers game set for Saturday. Franco Harris, who, of course, a Hall of Famer, most notable for the Immaculate Reception. News came out overnight that Franco Harris has passed away at the age of 72. Ramon,
Yeah.
you wore the jersey.
Yeah.
You wore the black and gold. And by the way, disclaimer, we're not making this a Pittsburgh show or doing anything like this, just getting perspective from you as a man who wore the jersey, from me coming from that part of the country, and talking about the man who was one of the people responsible for, as NFL Network has voted on it, many others have, perhaps the most memorable moment in NFL history.
Yeah.
So your thoughts on the passing, the very unexpected and stunning news we're finding out today, the passing of Franco Harris.
Shocking. He was just on a radio station yesterday doing his media spin about the 50th anniversary of the Immaculate Reception. I've met him numerous times. Great guy, soft-spoken, highly respected, man, hard worker type of individual. One of those guys that played that running back position where you had to kind of mention his name as one of those greats because, heck, he is. He has the gold jacket. He's Pittsburgh. He's football. And when you think of old school styles of football, too, and how he got it, wasn't he specifically a fullback that played running back?
Yeah, it was a little bit different in that period of time because he was a Penn State legend as well.
Yeah, Penn State legend.
And then, of course, his career with the Steelers and the 4 Super Bowls and being best known for perhaps the greatest touchdown in NFL history, the Immaculate Reception.
Yep.
You mentioned the other day, Ramon, when it came to Mean Joe Green, when people would think about the Pittsburgh Steelers and that organization, where it might be with the 49ers, Joe Montana, or now with the Patriots, Tom Brady. Mean Joe Green was that name for the Steelers.
Yep.
Franco was probably second or third.
Yeah.
He was in that top 5 for sure.
He's in that top 5 conversation. Mean Joe, Bradshaw, Lynn Swan. You mentioned those guys, and you got to mention Franco in there, Jack Ham. Of course, you got a lot of those guys that are in that conversation. And it's just a testament, one, to the organization, but it's a testament to him, to being a guy that played that position as hard as it was back in. And you knew that they were going to run the ball, and he was a huge part of it, man. Nothing but respect. Here I am, an undrafted lineman on that line of scrimmage, and the brotherhood that I created with him. I was telling you, I got text messages in my phone from Franco Harris. I went to dinner with Franco Harris, like not a group thing. He called me, hey, Ramon, let's go to dinner. I was, what, who? You're Franco. You know that, right? And, man, to share space with him is huge. The city of Pittsburgh is a little bit of a black cloud this morning, this week, for a little while.
Well, it's a city and a region that will be in mourning for sure this weekend.
Yeah.
What was supposed to be a celebration this weekend will still be in some ways, but definitely be celebrating the career and, of course, the life of Franco Harris. Again, if you're just joining us here on Ramon, Kayla, and Will on 104.5 The Zone, breaking news from the overnight. Steelers legend, NFL legend Franco Harris passed away at the age of 72. And they were set to retire his number this weekend. Again, it was going to be Raiders at Steelers, 50th anniversary. The Immaculate Reception 2 days from now would be the actual 50th anniversary of that event, which transformed the franchise.
Yep.
Really transformed the league in a lot of ways. The Music City Miracle is up there amongst the top 2-3 plays.
Yeah.
When it comes to most memorable plays in NFL history. I think you also have the tuck rule in there as well.
The catch.
The catch. Dwight Clark with the catch.
Yes, the catch is in that conversation. But and if you've ever gone into Pittsburgh, ever fly into Pittsburgh, the moment you go down the escalators and go to the transport carts, you will see.
You're heading to baggage claim.
When
you land at the airport in Pittsburgh and you're heading to baggage claim, there are 2 statues between the escalators going up, the escalators going down. One of them is General George Washington, the first president of the United States. And right next to him is a statue of Franco Harris and the Immaculate Reception. That is how much that play has meant and still means to that region. Because, Ramon, you know this because you would see people up in the stands. You saw plenty of 32s.
Yeah.
Despite a man who hadn't played for that franchise in 4 decades.
Yeah.
You saw plenty of 32 jerseys in the stands.
I have one. I got one signed, but I'm like, there's a lot.
It's in your house.
Yeah. This is different. As I'm sure the NFL will have a lot to say about it. There'll be a lot of things that go around it. If this was just a regional guy, just like some regular Joe, okay, man, I hate that anybody passed, but this is one of the guys that helped build up the NFL and turn into what it is this day, man.
Well, again, one of the most famous touchdowns in NFL history, one of the most iconic moments in NFL history, that's for sure. Let's relive that moment right now.
Last chance for the Steelers. Bradshaw trying to get away. And his pass is broken up by Tatum. Tipped off. Franco Harris has it. And he's over. Franco Harris grabbed the ball on a deflection. 5 seconds to go. He grabbed it with 5 seconds to go and scored.
Let's watch this again.
1 million to 1 odds on this one.
Watch this, ricochet.
So that's the TV call. There's also the famous Jack Fleming call of the Pittsburgh Steelers radio network for that as well. So, again, pretty stunning news. Franco Harris, Steelers legend, also with the Immaculate Reception, passing away overnight at the age of 72. We move on from that to, Kayla, a memorial service at Mississippi State yesterday for Mike Leach, who had passed away on December 12th from a heart condition, 61 years old. Greg Sankey was there. Bob Stoops, former Oklahoma coach as well. Lincoln Riley in attendance. And Eagles and former Wazoo quarterback, which I know is close to your heart, Gardner Minshew, was there eulogizing Mike Leach. And really a beautiful memorial yesterday for Mike Leach and saying what has been said since his passing. One of the most unique characters, which is saying something in college football history.
Yeah, it stinks that we have to start off the show like this, but unfortunately, like, this is a part of life. But, you know, to celebrate the great moments, I think, is always important in sports and just in life in general, to recognize these people and the impact that they've had on other people's lives. And I think that's the biggest thing I took from Mike Leach's memorial, which I'm really, really glad the SEC network carried that, not only for people in this region, but for people over in Texas, for people in Washington State, that they could tune in and feel like they were a part of that and just hear the stories and the lives that he impacted. Some of the players spoke, and I think that's where I took the most from.
Yeah.
And I thought that the Washington State players, and maybe I'm a little biased, but I thought they did the most incredible job kind of painting the picture of the impact he had on their lives. Gardner Minshew and him were like the best duo you'll ever see in college football when it comes to a quarterback and a head coach, because they were so similar in personalities.
Well, and one of those funny moments was after a victory when Gardner Minshew put one of those fake mustaches.
Yeah, and Leach just kind of played along with it. But Minshew in his speech, and I had posted it on my Twitter account, so you can go at Kayla Anderson TV and see it if you want. But he was pretty much just talking from the heart, and he even threw a swear word in there. I know not everybody loves that, but that's just who Leach was, and that's who Gardner is, and I don't care, and they're unapologetic about it. And the biggest thing I took from that is, like, he was always just authentically him. And I think that's so important in life, for sometimes we think we have to cater to other people or turn into somebody else.
Yes,
you just need to authentically be yourself. But it was just amazing hearing the stories and the impact he had on people's lives that maybe he never even thought.
So not the greatest way to start a show in terms of the news, to be fair. But again, that was the celebration of life with Mike Leach yesterday at Mississippi State. And for those just joining us here on this Wednesday morning, Franco Harris, legendary Pittsburgh Steelers running back, and of course, the man who caught the Immaculate Reception, passed away overnight at the age of 72. We will talk Titans and move it. Well, I was going to say move into a more positive direction, but at least more positive than current subject
Also,
matter.
a little fun fact I heard that Leach's memorial was so big yesterday as far as like the amount of private jets flying to Starksville.
They had to start landing them in a different town.
Yeah. Lane was even there. Lane Kiffin.
Yeah, that says a lot about a guy's impact. Again, we say this all the time about as far as giving people their flowers, and I think Leach got his. That moment between Lane and him towards the end, that was cool. Like, Shafe texted me, he's like, I don't know if I can handle Lane being this good of a person like that. But that says about how people affect you, right? The games he had, we'll forever have those on TV. But how he made all of those individuals feel, and us and you directly, like, that says a lot about the man.
Look, I say this somewhat jokingly, but the redemption of Lane Kiffin is not something I had on my bingo card. Let's put it that way.
Bingo.
No doubt.
6:15 in America's Music City, the hottest city in the country, except for temperature-wise over the next several days. That's going to be a part of our discussion when we talk Titans-Texans coming up on Saturday. Titans talk next here on Ramon, Kayla, and Will on 104.5 The Zone.
Spring Hill Heating and Cooling wishes you and your family a Merry Christmas and Happy Holiday. I want to remind you that Spring Hill Heating and Cooling is always here for you. So if you're having an issue with your heating or think there is a problem, call them now. Don't wait until Christmas Eve or wake up on Christmas morning with no heat and all of a sudden have an emergency. Call them now and they can help you prevent the problem. Call 931-381-2255 and let Spring Hill Heating and Cooling take a look and fix any problem you may have. They want you to enjoy your time with your family and friends and not worry about your heat working or not this weekend. Don't wait until there is an emergency. Call Spring Hill Heating and Cooling at 931-381-2255.
6:24 on this Wednesday. Good morning to you, whether it's your Thursday or your Friday or whatever it may be. It's a Friday for me as I'll be heading out of town. Jonathan Shaffer in for Will Bowling. Will be back in for the rest of the week starting tomorrow.
Don't need that back in the studio.
I thought you teased something.
I did tease something.
All right, so we'll talk about what Ramon had teased prior to the break here in a moment. We've got Titans injury news coming up and also the breaking news from overnight. Unfortunately, we need to pass along Steelers running back, legend, Hall of Famer, and the man who made the play called the Immaculate Reception, Franco Harris, passed away overnight at the age of 72, just 2 days away from the 50th anniversary of the Immaculate Reception. So wanted to pass that along. Ramon?
Absolutely, man. I needed Will here for a day like today. One, just to go off on the sidewalk on stuff, especially a day like today. Y'all know there's this song that I absolutely just adored until like Vandy killed it. I'm bringing it back though. The Timmy Trumpet song, Narcos.
Yeah.
There was a particular team that was playing it
The Mets.
a lot. The Mets.
Yeah.
When Edwin Diaz was. Yes. Who signed back to the Mets too, okay?
I know where he's going with this one. I know where
And
he's
for a
going.
while, I couldn't figure out why does Will absolutely hate. Like he hates this song, and I was like, it's beautiful, especially when look at Shafe. You were in a down mood, and now you're over there vibing a little bit, doing better because you hear this a little bit, and I was like, okay.
Oh, yeah.
That's because I'm waiting for the breakdown coming up here in a moment.
It gets you going. Narcos. Yeah, that plays, man. And I was just like, I had a good time with it. We ran it back numerous days. Like, it was a hot song.
Ron got on the table and started dancing at one point.
Yeah, he did, man.
Love it.
Happy baby yoga pose is what he did.
100%.
I heard about that. I was listening that day.
Yeah. So,
by the way, you heard about it?
Oh, my gosh.
We had to see it.
We had to see
I mean,
it.
yeah, I don't know if I could have stayed in the room.
3 words, scarred for life.
Man, oh, my goodness.
I would have been in tears.
So the Mets made a lot of moves, and Will really hadn't mentioned baseball. Why? Because it's football season. You got a lot going on. But there's this one particular team, the Mets, that he really hates. And I was just like, dang, Will.
Braves fans hate the Mets.
No idea it was that deeply rooted. I got a strawberry jersey and everything, Kayla.
Well, Daryl Strawberry is the what.
Yeah, of course. And of course, people want to slander everything else he did.
Yeah,
but
he still did.
I think you're allowed to have Doc Gooden, Daryl Strawberry, maybe Keith Hernandez.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Well, in modern day, I'm a big Frankie fan because I covered him in Cleveland.
Okay.
And when he was in Triple. And you got to love that guy. He's good for the game.
But this offseason, apparently they have an owner who is a fan of the game.
Oh, he spends a lot.
And he got a lot of cash.
How much cash does he have, Ramon?
A lot of cash, okay, like multiple Bs. And he happens to own a team. This offseason alone, Steve Cohen is his name, has spent over $800 million.
Yeah.
In free agency, they got a center fielder. I don't know a whole lot about them in general, but they're mentioning their name. Brandon Nemo. They brought back closer Edwin Diaz.
Verlander.
The guy, Verlander. Mm-hmm. Who would ever imagine
Who's
that?
still pitching at the 8? Give him props, man. The guy can still do it.
What is he, 37?
Yeah, no, he's married, and they've got a kid.
Yeah.
He's married.
That's the big win right there, is married to Kate.
Come on now. And then they were just at something like Antigua or somewhere, I think recently. It was pictures of him celebrating his new deal from the Mets, okay?
Okay.
So why should Will be so upset?
Yeah, so
because
where are we going with this?
They spent all of this cash, other relievers, David Robertson and Omar Narvaez, however you say his names. Yeah, Narvaez is how you say his last name.
Oh, okay.
But this morning, breaking news, I wake up, Carlos Correa.
Yeah.
Flipped from the San Francisco Giants to the New York Mets.
He had agreed to a big deal with the Giants, one of the biggest free agent deals in
13
history.
years.
Oh, yeah.
This is hilarious.
Till he would be 41. And it agreed to one of the biggest free agent deals in history. But much like your transcripts, his medical came back iffy.
Exactly.
Well, why did it come back iffy?
I don't know why his medical
They
came
wanted it to come back Cliffy.
That may be the case.
That Scott Boras and them kind of really like this. They wanted him from the beginning, but of course the number that San Francisco gave him was a little. They say Correa wasn't really into the deal. He just saw the number and was okay with it.
Well, it was a 13-year, $350 million deal that he agreed to with the Giants.
I mean,
And then his medical, iffy Jack.
yeah,
Which is like,
it turned up iffy.
Which is kind of like,
Yeah. Yeah.
And don't I remember, like, if the Giants are thinking the medical is iffy, don't I remember a certain pitcher, Vanderbilt, Kumar Rocker, first-round pick?
Sure
and
did.
the Mets passed on the medical.
The Mets passed on the medical. Yeah.
So Carlos Correa went back into the transfer portal.
Yes, he did.
Flipped his commitment. So instead of 13 at 350, it's now 12 at 315 to this team, Robert Walsh.
Yeah. Will is punching his pillow right now.
He is. This is his alarm clock, literally.
I hate it here.
I hate it here.
He is punching his pillow right now. I've never seen young Will Bolin get more mad than he ever has when I mention something about the Mets. Or he'll quickly interject a Braves like drop or something.
He doesn't want to hear it.
With Correa's deal, the Mets, under new owner Steve Cohen, have committed more than, are you ready?
Talk to me.
$800 million to free agents this offseason.
You mean
that is
that's like their opening roster
offseason alone.
Kayla, y'all talking about like the entire payroll for the year is what you're saying.
Yeah.
Oh, payroll for the year?
No.
That would be 3.5 times
this is
more.
the
Y'all
free agent.
You talking about free agents.
This is just guaranteed money to free agents during this offseason.
So they're buying a championship.
Well, sure.
Okay.
And look, that's not terribly different than what the Dodgers have tried to do and many other teams
or
have
the
done.
Yankees.
Oh, yeah. Here's the funny thing about it with the Mets. Cohen's spending is so extravagant. It makes the Yankees look cheap.
But here's the biggest thing. The Mets haven't really been able to turn it into what they've wanted to necessarily.
Yeah.
So now they have to. Like, you looking at the money that they just spent, the guys that they have, where are you going with this? Like, you have to win.
Goodness.
You got to go all the way.
They're also saying, so Francisco Lindor, by the way, a stud.
That's Frankie. Well, that's the guy. That's Frankie.
He's a stud, but I didn't know that's what you call him, Frankie. He is a stud. I enjoy watching him play.
He's great for baseball.
Well, they're saying between Correa and him, one would play third and one would play shortstop. By the way, Frankie Lindor, by the way, last year signed a 10-year, $341 million deal.
Yeah.
That's right.
To spin the ball around.
So what are you trying to say, Ramon?
God dang.
You should have played baseball.
I should have not been scared of the baseball.
That's right.
I'm telling y'all.
Well, can we be fair about this, though?
Yeah.
You didn't really have the body type for baseball.
I could have pitched.
No, that's not
He
true.
could have.
could've pitched.
He could
Do the
have.
Mets still have that fat pitcher?
Yeah, they do.
What was his name?
Husky lefty is whatever we want to call him.
You tell me Moan couldn't throw some heat off the mound?
No, he could.
I'm telling you, proper training, I could have spun that thing down the mound, baby.
Dude, CeCe? No, CeCe Sabathia
Yeah, CeCe.
was very similar in stature.
Yes, he is.
I've seen him in person.
See, that's why you air fiving over here is the homie like that. Yeah, that's
all right.
Verlander's what?
So who was fatter, CeCe Sabathia or Randy Bullock?
Well,
Randy,
because it's all compacted.
It's compacted.
CeCe's like 6'6".
Love you, Randy. It was
CeCe
there.
slimmed
Go
up
with the
lately.
joke.
Yeah, CeCe slimmed up too. But yeah, CeCe was big.
Yeah.
CeCe was real big up on the mound like that.
So
man.
the point to this is that now you understand why Will hates the Mets so much.
But this ain't even their stilo. Like, they don't do this. Apparently, they historically have been Yankees. Y'all spend the money because y'all buy them, and now they got
Cohen came in.
Until Steve Cohen.
Yeah, so they got a sugar daddy.
Oh, my
And
God.
then he's
Yeah,
like,
they got a sugar
money, 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 money.
Yeah.
They got a sugar daddy.
So they got a sugar daddy.
But this one is not like football, though. They got this one, and they locked these guys up for double-digit years for the most part. So, like, going all out on contracts, let's say like the Rams is what I'm saying.
And these players in baseball, because these terms are so long, overpaying way too
Yes.
much at the end of the term.
And not many live up to that. Like Bryce Harper's living up to it
Right.
with his contract, but not many
Yeah.
do that.
And here's the thing with Correa, who's 28 years old.
28.
Yeah, you know how old he's going to be when this term is done? 41.
Jeez. He also last year signed a 3-year, $112 million deal with the Twins and had a 2-year opt-out. He opted out of 3-year, $112.
Yeah, he jumped back into the market.
Good for his
That's
agent.
what he did.
Boy.
That's why you could go get those big agents, Moan.
Yeah.
I still don't understand where they pay it from because baseball ain't even the number one sport here.
Yeah, baseball still brings in a ton of money.
Yep.
Yeah.
And here's the other thing with
Yeah.
baseball is that while it's not, nothing compares to the NFL. Nothing compares to the NFL. Although the World Cup final did extremely well, but
Yes,
that's
it
a
did.
very specific circumstance.
Mm-hmm.
TV companies will still pay a lot for baseball because if you're watching baseball, you're going to sit in and watch baseball.
Yeah.
And that's more commercials that people are going to watch.
That's me.
So you still get good TV rights. Major League Baseball, believe it or not, despite how old the game feels at times, has done an outstanding job with their digital rights over the years.
Mm-hmm.
I think their revenue that they bring in a year for Major League Baseball, I think it's over $8 or $9 billion a year.
Yeah,
Jeez,
and
that's
they're
still
now
good.
starting to market the game in the past couple of years. They're finding ways to market the players, and that was the biggest thing that they weren't doing. Look, you can say what you want.
That's true.
I've been around baseball my whole life, covered every aspect of it. The players are actually pretty great if you can get them out there in terms of personality.
Yeah.
But you just have to get them out there.
Yeah. I love their culture and what baseball is too. Like it's super cool from like watching American players and then Dominican players and just like minority groups. Like they really like find themselves their own culture within the sport. It's pretty sweet, man.
So what you're saying is that you woke up RJ as you were leaving the
Yes.
door and told him to start pitching
Exactly.
again, right?
we got that in yesterday.
Yeah, yeah.
We got that in yesterday, man. He's actually been more motivated lately. I don't know what's flipped for him.
I told him if he wants Travis to throw BP, that's Travis's favorite thing to do is throw
yeah.
BP.
Is it really?
He loves throwing BP.
We're heading to a spot today. It unwarranted from this deal. And mind you, I don't give a dang whatever my kids does. I just want them to do their best at it.
Yeah.
Whether they go to college or, well, no, they're going to college.
Yeah, I don't know where you're going with that.
They're going to college.
I was
Right?
going to say going to college to go pro. They're going to
Yes,
college.
but I've been saying this to Ramon for a couple of years now that if RJ becomes this good,
Yeah.
if it's Vanderbilt or Tennessee,
Oh. Well, I'm a little more
See.
particular.
Come on, man. Thank you.
You got to see what coaches are there at that point.
That's true,
right?
too.
Because you never
Corbin.
know if Tony
Well-
will move on or if Corbs will be
Yeah.
retired. You don't know.
Or if there's another
but here's the
group.
thing: it's not that far away because
It ain't.
RJ's 14
That's
years
true.
old.
We got
Golly.
we got an invite the other day from a college.
Yeah, Vitello's not
Already.
going anywhere.
And
He's
I'm
not
like,
gonna go anywhere.
I didn't think we were already here.
I never say never.
Oh, he will eventually, but I don't see that happening in the near future just because Tennessee's going to give him as much money as he wants.
Yeah.
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 Because
this-
Vitello right now is the man who walks on water.
I could
in
also
that town,
see
along with
him.
Heupel and
Yeah,
Danny
yeah,
White and
yeah.
a few others.
I
Yeah.
could see him eventually being an MLB manager, though.
Could be.
He's just got that kind of like doesn't give a what personality.
No, but if you ask of all Twitter, he's a god right now.
Oh yeah,
GAWD God.
believe me, nobody knows baseball more in this room.
Yeah, I know.
This
agree with
girl.
that.
I'm sure.
I agree with that. So the point to all this is that Will hates the Mets for obvious reasons.
He's gonna be sick.
So you're just gonna have to bring it up again tomorrow.
Yeah,
so he
honey,
gets to hear
And
it
you,
2 times.
you know what you'll have to do then?
What?
Bring it up again Friday.
Yeah, yeah. Well, did you hear the good news?
Do you know how much I'm going to care? I won't.
He won't be here.
He's punching his
He's
pillow
out.
right now.
Although-
He's
I know
out.
he is.
Well, first of all, there's no chance he's awake. No chance at all he's awake.
Well, when he see this news,
Well,
Right?
he gonna throw up in
He
his
is
mouth.
going to puke,
y'all.
We're all on the same thing this morning. There we
Yeah.
go.
puke and rally.
Yeah, as Bert's playing the Brad Hopkins back there.
Oh,
That's what we think about this
Puke and
injury
rally?
report.
Yeah, you just talked about college. Yes, the puke and
God, don't even get me started. Did y'all do kegs and eggs in school?
No, I didn't.
Never?
No.
Kegs and eggs, man. That was the whole reason you get up to watch a 12 o'clock kick, to watch Houston beat East Carolina's
I stopped
ass.
partying after high school.
I never
I
did, Kaz.
literally
Did
did
you? Not
not
me.
party in college.
I was
Just because I was already working, ended up meeting my wife my sophomore year of school.
Look at
It
he
was
grew
just-
up so fast.
grew up. Oh, the poor baby.
Yeah.
The baby.
Did you hear me complaining about it? No.
I did like the Benjamin Button. Like I was in high school and like was the good kid. Like I was like third in my class in GPA, and then I got to college.
What the hell happened?
That's a great
What
question.
in the
I was
world?
going to be a dentist, and then I realized
What?
that I didn't like going to school. I just like talking and,
He was
and
gonna be a
girls.
dentist.
Then what
What's
happened
crazy?
was he found the Satan spinach. Everything just changed after
It
that.
sent me down the wrong path.
Could you imagine Bart as your dentist?
No.
Well, I don't know who Bart is, but I don't want Bert as my
Or
dentist.
Bert.
Bart. I like
said
Bert
Bart.
better.
Bert, excuse me.
Yeah.
Could you imagine Bert as a Bert, could you imagine yourself as a dentist?
I don't think anybody would want me to put anything in their mouth.
Hey, man, this is like the 15th time in 2
I'm
days.
talking about cleaning.
What the heck?
6:39 here in Nashville. It's already off the rails on a Wednesday, so I guess we're finding out how you act on a Wednesday here on Ramon, Kayla, and Will on 104.5 The Zone.
The holiday fun continues at Genesis Diamonds with the year's best finance offer now extended through Christmas Eve. Genesis love last-minute shoppers. I was a last-minute shopper. I was in there looking at something last week. But Genesis has tons of great ideas, incredible value prices, and 5-year zero-interest financing. So you can splurge on that $9,000 diamond ring and pay just $150 a month. Or how about a $5,000 pair of diamond stud earrings, just $85 a month. You can even finance the sales tax. And you can use this amazing offer on anything. Designer engagement rings, classic like diamond pendants and bracelets, and all Genesis hand-selected GIA-certified diamonds are included. And so are the luxury pre-owned Rolexes. Is this the year you treat someone or even yourself with a Rolex? Or that amazing diamond eternity band? At Genesis, they have the best holiday collection ever, with case after case of headliner gifts that are romantic and timeless. And with Genesis' guaranteed best value price and 5-year zero-interest finance offer, you can make this the best Christmas ever and still stay in budget. Merry Christmas from Genesis Diamonds on approved credit.
You know how we talk about if you're going through life and walking down the street or running errands, whatever you may be doing, thinking about your theme song?
Yeah.
This is Bert's. The reason why? It's called Sweet Leaf. You can figure out the rest from
Oh
there.
my
Or maybe Bart's. Maybe it's Bart's theme music.
Bart's.
Not quite sure. Ramon, Kayla, and Will, 104.5 The Zone. Ramon Foster, Kayla Anderson. I'm Jonathan Shaffer. Robert Walsh, Bert, a.k.a. Bart.
We all have alter
show
egos,
today.
so that is what I just did organically.
Yeah.
You see where I'm going with that?
I like it.
I like that you're trying to talk it into existence.
I like it. I
It's
like
pretty
Bart.
good.
Stop
though.
trying to make fetch happen, Kayla.
Cousin Hightower in the YouTube chat. And, of course, you can check us out on Zone TV, where we are at 5 days a week, except on Monday because everybody said, nope, stay home. Live on Zone TV, YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch. Follow us on Twitter at Ramon, Kayla, Will. Cousin Hightower, Bart or Bert would be a kid's dentist so he can get paid in them yogurt puffs that he loves.
Yes.
Gosh. I feel like I would be like the Steve Martin in Little Shop of Horrors. Like I would be like the pugilist dinner. A dentist, like, I'm going to be a dentist.
Ryan Powell also on the chat. And, of course, you can chime in on the chat, also on Twitter or at 615-737-1045. Ryan Powell says, y'all got to give Bert a show on the Zone.
We do.
I don't want that kind of pressure. I can only be funny at select moments. Like, it's kind of like, if that was
I
the
get
thing, it
that,
would be
though.
like, be funny. Do something
Yeah.
funny. Be a clown.
I'm
like,
with
Yep.
you.
Yep.
don't
Laura
work like that.
in the chat, who's one of our favorites, by the
We
way.
love Laura.
I about spit out my coffee when Kayla called Bert Bart.
I didn't even know I did it.
And then something that's become a trend on this show and all other shows outside of 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. Usually by the time you get to the 5th, 6th, or 7th message in the chat,
Yeah.
it becomes about a certain show. Dylan said Bert and Slay need to take over for Buck's show. I mean, it's just...
Always Buck show, baby.
Cousin Hightower, Ryan, we could get rid of Buck.
They're auctioning him off
He
now.
ain't even rolled over in his bed yet, and he's catching strays.
Nephew Selly, I like Lucas, though. Bert and Lucas show. Hey!
I hate you. I hate you. You're cool.
Oh,
I hate you.
boy.
The chat is on fire today.
It
It
is
is
on
on fire.
Listen live at 10 for Bert the dentist. He will put words into your mouth.
Oh, that's cool.
Okay.
Oh,
There you go. There's the
that's
tag.
hilarious.
Tag, baby.
That is hilarious.
What's crazy is now you didn't want to be a dentist, but now you have braces, man.
Dude, that's an ortho, though. That's an ortho.
But even still, you got referred to by a dentist, though.
I
Dude,
do.
Bart, how long have you had those?
Oh, my God. You have no honestly, longer than any relationship I've ever been in. I've had these braces since 20. So,
Okay.
like, during COVID. but,
wait.
Wow.
You've had
Bart?
braces for
Yes.
since 20?
Yes.
2020?
Yeah.
Well, see, okay, here's what happened. So, not to get so
I don't care that
medical,
much. Hurry up. Wrap it up.
I had impacted canines, which when my canines were
Yep.
in the top
They
of my
had
mouth.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
look, when they did have an x-ray on you, they showed that you are a dog. So,
Yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
those canines.
That's
make
right.
sense.
Give me. Anyway, so they attached it. They had to expose it. But since I'm an adult, the teeth move a little slower.
Yeah.
They're a little more ignorant. They don't want to move into place. So they've just been. I've had braces as an adult, and I told them I am not going to be a 30-year-old with braces. So
Amen.
As far as these teeth move until I get 30. That's where they're going to
That's
be.
where
If
they're
I
going.
look like a snagglepuss, then that's what it is.
You know what? Word to you. 5 years I had those braces. The minute I got them off, I was down in Diet Cokes. I was chewing sugary everything.
I cannot wait to smile and look like a regular person. Right now, I feel like what's that monster from the Goonies?
Oh, yes.
I feel like if you had just a picture of my mouth. Just a picture of my mouth would be like sloth.
I had adult braces.
Yeah, you want me to try it out?
There we go.
Bert, I'm telling you, when you get them off, your teeth feel slimy and smooth
Yeah.
because the metal's been there.
And they're going to look so big. They're going to feel so big.
Yeah.
Like dinner plates in my mouth.
All you're going to want to do is like smile, too.
Oh, I'm going to be cheesing. You wait. When I get these
Dylan
things in.
in the chat, can we trade Buck for draft capital?
I'll give a late sixth-round conditional pick.
That might be the Twitter question of the day.
Capital.
If I can get our internet to work in here, that might be the Twitter question of the day. What would you trade Buck for?
I only had mine for 18 months, by the way, Bert. You 2 years in. That's crazy.
Dude, he's almost 3.
Almost 30 years in.
My teeth are about to go to preschool. Like, I'm going to have to start looking at private schools to put my teeth
Your
in.
teeth need daycare.
Yeah, I'm serious. I'm tired of lugging these things around. I'd rather have a no-denture adventure and go somewhere, you know?
After a while, I got
trip.
used to it. You had yours 5 years?
5 years.
God!
Nah, I never got used to it. I hated every minute of it.
I was supposed to
I
have
had those
braces as a
things
kid, but-
in the back that had to bring my job a little.
Yeah.
God, dude,
Oh.
the worst, man.
Get out of here.
Now look at these pearly whites.
Hey.
I got
Beautiful.
joked on mine. I need to go. Like, if I do it again, I'm doing Invisible.
Y'all, wear
Invisalign?
your retainers when you get your braces
that
off.
was
Word
my
to the
next
kids out
question.
there.
Word to
You
your
guys,
mother, man.
I could never say one thing. I'm going to tell you: wear your retainers. I've worn them for like 20 years straight
Have you?
because I
Really?
never wanted my teeth to move. I got top and bottom, and I got permanents, and I wear my ones at night.
I had a buddy who thought that you had to wear it all the time.
Yeah,
So
no.
his teeth just became like a solid tooth, like on the top. Eventually, we were like, "Bro, like you could take them out," and they were so.
Oh, that's yeah. Those
He
things
ate
are
with
gross.
them too?
They were so ate with them, slept with them,
Okay.
kissed with them.
That is-
See, again. I got this
Not
drop.
me. He didn't kiss me with them.
Dudes are dumb.
laughing.
That's it right there.
So gross. So gross.
That's crazy. It's kids that know better than that.
Yeah.
Before the break, John in the Borough is entering this madness that is Ramon
God.
Kayla
We're off
and Will
the
on
rails.
104.5 The Zone. What's up,
Off the
John?
rails.
What's up, John?
It's a Wednesday. We're acting like it. Go, John.
What's up, everybody? First off, I love Ramon, Kayla, and Shafe. This is the best version of the show ever. All right? Just, Will, stay on your vacation, buddy. Shafe, you take over. Ramon, Kayla, and Shafe forever. I'm all about it.
I know it.
So I've got a buddy that plays professional baseball. He's played for the Rockies, the Red Sox, the Indians, the Padres, the Giants, and somebody else, the Oakland A's. I texted him about Correa. Because he was keeping an eye on that because Correa was supposed to be joining the Giants and play for the Giants. Well, he sends me a text back and he says, yeah, the medical issue, it's not a back issue and it's not a shoulder issue, it's cold feet.
That's what Ramon was saying.
Yes.
San Francisco is a place where careers go to die now. They have no help. They're not trying to do a whole lot, and it's beautiful there. Like, I'm sad that San Francisco, like the late 90s, early 2000s, like San Francisco was a spot.
No, but
Dude,
even
not
that
much
far.
more recently
Buster,
than that.
I mean,
Well,
in the
yeah.
Buster
Dude,
Posey
that's-
days.
well,
They
yeah,
won
you're right.
3
Come on,
titles
man.
in 6 years.
Yeah, that's not too
know.
far away.
Yeah, I mean, that
No.
wasn't that long ago.
No.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. That's
I'd say what, early 2010s
Yeah.
was when that was.
cold
Yeah.
feet got them.
That's what
That's
I mean.
that's really funny.
Yeah,
Good. New York's buzzing right now. In
It
sports,
is.
So.
Oh,
It
sure.
is.
It's not buzzing too much. It's about to get really cold.
I mean, well, besides that, I mean,
So are we.
Yankees are good. Mets are good. You got to look at the basketball teams, fairly
Knicks
decent
are
right
actually
now.
doing okay.
Yeah, and then you got the Jets and Giants both above 500.
Yeah.
Can you imagine what this city's going to be like for an athlete?
Jets and Jags coming up tomorrow night. You can hear the game
Yeah.
on the zone.
Yeah,
That's
we
a
need
big one.
another Rat
Yeah.
Pack.
We'll
Big
talk
one.
more about that because Stacy's mom's going to be back in at quarterback. Hour 1, we're just going to wash that one away.
Oh, wow.
Hour 2 next.
Get your
Ramon,
mouth flaps
Kayla,
out.
and Will. What's up, Bart? On 104.5 The Zone.
It's 7:02. Good morning from the Superbook.com sports desk. I'm Robert Walsh. Titans had another lengthy injury report yesterday as 9 players did not practice, including Dylan Radins, Ryan Tannehill, and Ben Jones, who is out with a concussion. Jeffrey Simmons, NPF, Amani Hooker, Aaron Brewer, and Danico Autry were all limited, and Traylon Burks was a full participant. And the Texans don't have as many players on the injury report, but still some big names, as Laramie Tunsil, first-round pick Kenyon Green, and Nico Collins did not participate. And tonight in bowl action, starting at 9 p.m., the R&L Carriers New Orleans Bowl. You can see Western Kentucky take on South Alabama on ESPN. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and the Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Our number 2, Ramon, Kayla, and Will. 104.5 The Zone. It's Wednesday, so yeah, it's Wednesday.
Yeah.
We're learning what
said.
that means. Defining how you act on a Wednesday. And if hour 1 is any indication, it is pretty ratchet.
It's pretty ratchet.
To my
Usually when I
left.
start slacking off.
Stop talking. To my left, 11-year NFL veteran involved for life, Ramon Foster, wearing the Santa hat today as he did yesterday, putting the big J in journalism, bold, italicized, and underlined. She is, don't call her Kayla Anderson.
That's right. Don't call me Kyla.
The man in the booth today, the best substitute teacher in the world. The artist formerly known as Bert. We're now calling him Bart for the foreseeable future.
Bart.
Thank you, Stewie.
And I'm Jonathan Shaffer in for the loafing Will Bowling, who is off today, who hates the New York Mets even more today than he did yesterday.
Yeah.
Ramon Kayla and Will, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors. When trust matters, count on All Four Seasons Garage Doors in Nashville. Professional garage door installation and repair from a locally owned and family-run business. Visit allfourseasonsgarages.com/Nashville. All guests are courtesy of the Mark Spain Real Estate Hotline, including Spicy Rice, Brian Rice, 99.1 The Sports Animal, and the voice of the Lady Vols. He will be joining us 15 minutes from now. We are live on Zone TV, YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch. You can follow us on Twitter at Ramon, Kayla, and Will. If you do go to the YouTube and get into the chat, make sure you take a buddy. It's the honor system in there. It's also the buddy system because it can get a little crazy. Our question of the day, if you could trade Buck Rising, what would you ask for in return? I know Titans fans are clearly asking for a new starting left tackle. That's one thing that's being asked for.
Here's the first one.
And we'll talk more about the Titans, of course, throughout the show today and talk about how the weather can affect the game coming up on Saturday on Christmas Eve. Do want to pass along news that broke really before our show started this morning. NFL legend, Hall of Famer, and he's the man that made one of the most memorable plays in NFL history. Played for the same franchise as Ramon Foster did. Franco Harris, just 2 days away from the 50th anniversary of the Immaculate Reception. And then the Raiders and Steelers were playing in Pittsburgh on Saturday, in which they were going to retire Franco Harris's number, only the third number to be retired by that franchise. Franco Harris passed away overnight at the age of 72. And Ramon told me that news literally as I pulled into the parking lot today. And Ramon, special meaning to you with your interactions you had with Franco Harris in Pittsburgh, of course, sharing that same uniform. You said you've received text from Franco over the years, have gone to dinner with him. Considering the media he'd been doing this week,
I know,
heading into this weekend, which was supposed to be a very celebratory mood for the Immaculate Reception. Just very shocking news we've heard from overnight.
It was, and a guy that's still moving and shaking day to day, doing a lot of things, as far as like his day-to-day life and whatnot. So definitely a shocker, especially this weekend. And that's why I always try to tell people, live life to the fullest, leave the stress behind, enjoy your people. I heard Ron Slay say something on his way out yesterday, man. Love somebody, hug somebody, and stay out of the way. I was like, That's about as appropriate as you can be these days, man. Don't start nothing, man. See your people, love on them, hug on them, and just enjoy each day, especially during this holiday season. We've seen two major deaths this past couple weeks with Leach and now Franco. Really brings a lot of stuff into perspective. And I know a lot of people say, well, he was 72. First thing you said was like, that's still young. Old. I mean, Leach 61, and me knowing Franco and what he means to that franchise, that city, that state, and to the NFL, man. I'm glad we got an opportunity to see the other side of him in the 50th anniversary commercial, and I got an opportunity, like I said, cross paths with him numerous times at events, personally, one-on-ones and stuff like that. I never saw him play. Right. But he was still impactful to me as a young guy who shared knowledge with me and just had conversation. You know, sometimes you can't see and touch and be around your legends.
Yep.
You know, or people who are legendary in general. So for me to share space with him, and it was a genuine space too, that's cool. And I'm sure there's a lot of people in the sports world, fans of all different fan bases, that feel that type of sentiment too.
Spent 11 years with the franchise. You did. He did as well. Spent 11 years there. Of course, he had 4 Super Bowl rings and Hall of Fame running back. From your perspective, what did he mean to that franchise?
Everything. And in a world where you needed, Terry Bradshaw was struggling. The run game was where it was.
Well, at one point, they had 2 running backs who each had 1,000 yards during a season.
Yeah,
Rocky Bleier.
Him and Rocky Bleier, war veteran too, by the way. United States veteran.
Vietnam vet.
He meant a lot. And it's also, I played with running backs, played with Willie Parker, played with Le'Veon, a lot of these guys, and they all have conversations or had conversations with Franco too, just because of the history and just what it means to be a running back for that franchise. Bettis is one of those guys. You see those two dudes in tango together all the time in Pittsburgh. So very significant, very, very.
So, again, if you're just joining us, NFL legend Franco Harris passed away overnight at the age of 72, just a few days away from the 50th anniversary of the Immaculate Reception, one of the true iconic moments in NFL history. And yesterday, Kayla, this one a little more personal to you because he coached your former school at Washington State. And, of course, most recently, a Mississippi State memorial service for Mike Leach, who passed away on December 12th from a heart condition, 61 years old. And if you want to talk about big names in the world of college football, they were definitely at the memorial service yesterday. And one of your favorite quarterbacks, he was a Wazoo grad, Gardner Minshew, also spoke and eulogized Mike Leach yesterday in Mississippi.
Yeah, and that's Gardner Minshew, who, mind you, might be starting this week for Philadelphia, which is crazy. Like when you're trying to prepare for something like that, and you're there at a memorial for a coach that has completely touched your life. I thought it was crazy. He started the speech, or just memorializing Mike Leach by saying he was my favorite coach before I even knew him, and that he had watched him since he was a little kid. And a lot of these quarterbacks down there, especially in the South, always talked about Mike Leach and how they kind of loved the offense that he ran at Texas Tech. And they all grew up kind of watching that team because they thought it was so cool. And when Leach came to Gardner Minshew and said, do you want to be the quarterback who throws for the most yards in college football, Minshew was like, sign me up. I'm ready to go. But also a former player I think that touched me that went out and spoke was Gabe Marks, former wide receiver at Washington State. He spoke more of it as like Mike Leach was a father figure to him. He was someone who taught him how to be a man. So it goes way beyond the X's and O's in football when it comes to Mike Leach. He taught so many men how to be men, and you just touched so many people's lives. It was a beautiful memorial service. Yeah. I hope if you didn't get to see it, if you want to see it, maybe SEC Network will replay it here eventually.
So I think the larger meaning out of all this is that love on your people during this holiday weekend. See your people, love on your people, enjoy the time that you have with them. It is in a short supply because you never know. But rest in peace to Franco Harris and also to Mike Leach. When we come back, our friend Spicy Rice, Brian Rice, 99.1 The Sports Animal in Knoxville. We'll talk about National Signing Day, Vols news, basketball, both of the Lady Vols and Rick Barnes' basket Vols. as Bryan is the voice of the Lady Vols as well. Ramon Foster, Kayla Anderson, I'm Jonathan Shaffer in for Will Bowling. This is 104.5 The Zone.
This year,
I like this.
I give it to someone special, special.
7:20 on a Wednesday, and we're acting like it.
Okay.
Which in this situation is singing along to Wham.
I didn't even know this.
This one gets me. I don't know why, even though it's not a Christmas song like Bert was saying.
It's not?
Well,
Just, if you listen to the
got
whole
background.
song, he doesn't say anything about Christmas besides last Christmas.
Hey.
Like,
uh-huh.
I'm in here vibing
So,
right now.
just like Die Hard, it really doesn't have much to do with Christmas, but it is around Christmas, so it becomes a Christmas movie.
there you go.
I hate it here. Ramon Foster, Kayla Anderson. I'm Jonathan Shaffer in for the loafing Will Bowling.
Yeah.
He's Don't Call Him Bart, Robert Walsh, a.k.a. Bert, the best substitute teacher in the world, as we're joined right now by a man we affectionately call Spicy Rice, among other nicknames. Brian Rice, 99.1 The Sports Animal in Knoxville, also voice of the Lady Vols. Brian, any thoughts on Christmas music or favorite Christmas tunes?
I just know that, and this goes back to my now former coworker, Will West. He has a deep hatred for Mary Did You Know? And now I've kind of adopted it because, well, Will's a very spiritual guy, and we had a real conversation one day about how just totally not biblical that song is, and now I can't listen to it. Like, one of your friends tells you something kind of innocuous, an opinion they have, and then you adopt it because now you can't think of anything else. That's kind of what happened with that song. But otherwise, fair. No. I mean, you want to play it, you can. People can play Christmas music right after Halloween if they want.
Not after Halloween. I'm sorry.
See,
we have to have rules in this society, Brian, or everything will break down.
I know. I personally will not. If somebody else does, I'm going to let them. I'm not going to interfere with what gives them joy in today's world, but I do judge you. I do.
Yes, there he is.
Brian Rice, Thief of Joy, joining us here on Ramon, Kayla, and Will on 104.5 The Zone. Brian, today, early signing period day, which doesn't mean nearly what it used to mean. And the Vols already with 24 commitments to this class, 14 early enrollees already on campus. Anything to really be expecting today when it comes to early signing day for Rocky Top?
No, it's amazing how this whole thing has evolved because, I mean, even when I started doing radio full-time, 5.5 years ago, February was still the big day. And then February becomes not a big day at all anymore because of the early signing period. And now you have so many early enrollees that want to get in for bowl practice. All the guys that have showed up for bowl practice are in the boat. It doesn't matter what they say or do today. They're in because they've showed up and they've been on campus and they've participated. So, no, it doesn't have as much impact. This time of year is almost shifted to being the transfer portal watch time. And that's okay. Anything that draws interest for this sport, I think, is good. Signing day is great for the kids that want to have their moment. I think a lot of kids are just ready to go and be in college. And I hate that they speed it up like that because, the spring of my senior year was a lot of fun. But I also think it's great that these kids want to get a jump on their college football career and push forward and be ready to contribute as a freshman because, there's not very many, Eric Ainges that showed up in July and started a game in September. That was exceedingly rare. Now you have freshmen who you can count on because they've been through bowl practice. They're not gaining a lot other than a working knowledge of how practice works. But then their off-season program, spring, real off-season program, and then all of a sudden they're almost a sophomore by the time their first real season starts.
Yeah, that's insane, man. On the other side of this thing, too, it's always controversial when you look at, who you sign and where you sign them from. As far as the state of Tennessee goes, man, do you think Heupel and his staff have done a good job as far as locking up the state? I know they got the number 1 and number 2 player in the state this year. How do you look at that outlook of their recruiting?
I think they have done as well as they possibly could have. You guys being in Nashville know it's not – with the way Nashville has grown in the last decade, 2 decades, you don't have a ton of kids who grew up Tennessee fans because their parents moved here from somewhere else or whatever it may be. So they've done as good of a job as possible to build relationships with coaches, to build relationships with kids, and then, go get who they want. And winning helps. They didn't win at a high level when a lot of these kids were making their decision last year, but I think you saw some things that were evidence of they're going to have long-term success here. And they've improved every player that's on the roster and on and on. And then this year's a total validation of it. So then when those other schools come in to kids who have been committed for a year or kids that have had their list trimmed to 2 or 3 for a year, then they're saying, no, Tennessee is still everything that they have told me it's going to be, and I see the progress. So it makes it easier to hold on to. I love what they've done in state. As high school football in this state has gotten better, it's going to be more common for other schools to come in here and try to take the best athletes, and that's okay. That happens in Georgia. Tennessee's dipping into Georgia. Tennessee's dipping into the Carolina, into Florida. So you're doing that, but I think they've done as good of a job as any staff Tennessee's had, going back to Coach Fulmer, doing in-state recruiting.
The kid that started this class off, man, a long time ago, Ethan Davis, the tight end, 4-star guy out of Georgia, as you just said. What can you tell me about him? Because that says a lot for a kid like this to commit that early and stay with the staff, and Alex Golesh being one of his primaries in recruiting.
I think when you look at the tight end position, it's something that this offense, it helps make it cook. So you find a guy like him early on in the cycle, and you go all in and say, you're our guy for one of the premier positions in this offense. And you show him all the tight end film of everything you've done, everywhere you've been, and say, you're our guy. You're who we want to do this. And I think that really helps. And then you start building around that. And obviously getting a commitment like Nico helps. But, you go back to identifying what's important, what's really important to your offense. All the highlight plays that Jalen Hyatt got this year. Okay, but what makes it cook? Who do you go to when you have to have a first down? It's tight end position. And Princeton Fant played a huge role in this offense. And I think, again, going back to having things validated over the course of this last season, if anybody came knocking on his door, he's saying, man, I'm watching Princeton Fant be the key cog in this offense. I'm going to Tennessee.
This is a more general question when it comes to just the, signing day and now all these big NIL deals and the money that they have at certain schools bringing in some of these top recruits. Josh Heupel looks like he is developing players once they get there. That is a big part of the process. You're maybe a 4 or 5 star, but you still have room to grow when you get to a certain program. You're seeing in Miami what they're doing with bringing in guys just because they got a lot of cash down there. But how much do you feel like it really starts to fall on the coach at some point to develop these guys, even if they're coming in with uber talent?
No kid with first-round aspirations coming out of high school is going to sign with a program that he doesn't believe is going to get him to the NFL.
Yep.
And I think this whole thing evens out eventually because players are going to get burned in I took an offer for the potential of another $500,000 in NIL money, but it cost me 3 rounds in the draft because I didn't get developed or I'm not in the right system or any of those things. Kids that want to be first-round picks have that at the top of their list. Now, if all other things are equal, if somebody has more NIL money or something like that, then maybe. But I think the impact of it is huge, but I think the impact of NIL money in kids making a decision is a little overblown in some situations. Because, again, to top-level kids, getting me to the league is number one. And if a school doesn't get kids to the league, they're not going to get those kind of players to sign on the dotted line, no matter how much NIL money you have. And I think Miami's the perfect example. And that's early on, obviously.
Yeah.
Mario Cristobal's tenure, he's put guys in the league other places. But what about guys like Texas that went to Texas A&M?
Yep.
Jimbo Fisher has some track record, but now he's got 30 in the portal. How long is it sustainable that, we're going for the money because the money's great, but you get there and then you don't play? Well, where's the money year 2? You didn't develop in year 1. You didn't hit the field. Where's the money? those are all things that are going to contribute to the transfer portal. And you're going to have a lot of kids who realize that they made a mistake. They didn't make the right football decision because they were making some other decision. And so I think eventually it evens out. You're always going to have kids who make mistakes. You're always going to have kids that made mistakes before when things were under the table. But I think ultimately the best players, the ones you want on your football team, are going to make a football decision, and that's going to be as important as it ever has been.
Brian Rice, 99.1 The Sports Animal Knoxville, also the voice of the Lady Vols, joins us here on Ramon, Kayla, and Will on 104.5 The Zone. With Cedric Tillman and also Hyatt opting out of the bowl game, Brian, what kind of an opportunity with the Orange Bowl will it be for Brew McCoy and Squirrel White to possibly step up and show out on this national stage?
No, I think those two. I think Walker Merrill's another guy. I think there are a lot of second-team-ish receivers that probably felt like they didn't get as many reps as they deserved this year because Tennessee doesn't rotate wide receivers. They just don't. You saw Ramon Keaton get a huge opportunity because of how much Cedric Tillman was out, but there are guys on the roster that probably didn't get as many snaps this year as they wanted to. But I think they can show in bowl practice, working with the quarterback that they normally were working with in practice, that they're ready to get out there and take the next step and be that guy next year. I think there's a tremendous opportunity for those guys. You hate that Hyatt opted out. You hate that Tillman was never healthy. But if you want to get a jump start on what this offense that's based a lot on timing is going to look like next year, then this bowl practice and this bowl game are a great opportunity for these guys to step forward and to say, I'm the guy, and to convince the coaching staff that, hey, maybe they don't need to pursue as many portal guys at wide receiver. I think they're going to go get portal guys at wide receiver because they have the best recruiting pitch in the country. But I think all of these players have the opportunity to prove to this staff, hey, you don't need somebody else. I'm here. I'm ready to take a step forward. You've trained me, and I'm ready for this moment. So it's a huge opportunity. Squirrel White, people have been excited about what he can do. He's a smaller guy. He can't play all the positions like a Cedric Tillman could or even like a Jalen Hyatt could. But you're telling me that Josh Heupel's not going to draw up something to get the ball in his hands at just the right time? A great opportunity for all of these guys as they go into the bowl game. And most importantly, I think bowl practice and setting themselves up for where they fit in the off-season program and where they fit in spring practice.
As far as needs and wants, not wants at this point, linebacker, let's go secondary. Goodness gracious. Okay, I think South Carolina exposed us there in the trenches. Where are they at those positions?
I think you're going to be bolstered with the pickups that you've made in this recruiting class on the defensive line. Now, it's a tough ask to get a kid to contribute as a freshman on the defensive line. But as I said earlier, being an early enrollee helps. Being able to put on that weight in the off-season program, the nutrition program, all of that really helps. Linebacker is going to be a concern. Defensive back is going to be a concern. Now, you say the transfer portal, and I think the transfer portal is a great place for them to look. But they don't have a lot of available slots to take guys in the portal just because of the 85. So they're going to be selective. We've had some people call into our show already. Well, I thought Tennessee would be more active in the transfer portal right now. So, well, I probably did too, but when you look at it, this staff is not going to be in a position to just take a guy to take a guy. You need help at defensive back and linebacker, but you can't just bring in a guy and hope. That's not going to work for anybody. So they're going to try to target the right guy because they have to build depth at linebacker and they have to build depth at defensive back. You reportedly Tank McCullough's coming back for another year. Don't know about Jeremy Banks. Don't know if Jeremy Banks is going to try the NFL. He wants to stay at Tennessee or he wants to go somewhere else. Those are three possibilities, and I think they're all three fairly likely. So we'll see where he is. And so that's somebody else you may have to potentially replace. But I think they're going to be active in the portal after the bowl game. I don't think all of the quality players that are out there in the transfer portal are in it right now. You're going to have more guys go in after bowl games. You're going to have more guys go in after the spring. But they don't have room to just take a guy and hope. They are going to be very deliberate with who they take in the portal. But I think there's going to be a heavy emphasis on the defense once this bowl game's over.
Brian, do the basket Vols with Rick Barnes still have the same problem as last season? Because I still wonder who is going to get that big basket in crunch time.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest question that faces them right now. In their big wins this year, they haven't really had to draw up something for that last-minute, last-second situation. I think Zakai Ziegler is a guy that you like the ball in his hands, but he's not the right guy for every situation. He can't – his physical limitations dictate that he's not necessarily the guy for every situation. Same for Santiago Vescovi. You trust him probably to hit a shot more than anybody, but is he necessarily going to be in the right position to make a shot? Tyreek Key's been very up and down. He's shown an ability at sometimes to be that guy, not at others. Is it a freshman in Phillips? That's the biggest question that this team faces. Now, the positive is they've played well enough in most of their games to this point this year that it hasn't come down to that. They've been able to play the other 39 minutes well enough that who has the ball in their hands in the last minute is a matter of no concern. But that's something they're going to have to develop here, and they're going to have to figure out quickly. But you can't be in February, March, wondering who's taking the last shot for you or making it dependent on the situation. You need a guy. I tell you who it's not. It's not Uros Plavšić.
No.
Not after the other night.
What are your thoughts on the antics as Rick Barnes described them?
I'll just be blatantly honest. He is not good enough to talk that way. It's like the defensive backs for Tennessee talking during the South Carolina game. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Uros is such a big guy, and he's got such a body to play down low. And then you look in the Arizona game, he scores 2 baskets in the first minute and a half, and then one of them is immediately negated because he could not keep his mouth shut. That's so frustrating, and it's so frustrating for Barnes because they've done this before. They've put him at the end of the bench before because he can't keep his mouth shut. I can't imagine how frustrating that is for this staff that you have a guy, you need him to score between 5 and 7 points a game and to get you between 5 and 7 rebounds. Yeah. And if he could accept that, do it every game, then you have a really good player. But you can't trust him to be out there in crunch time because if somebody elbows him in the gut, he may just turn around and go crazy on him. The trust factor is what is most frustrating about him, and it's got to be most frustrating for this coaching staff.
B. Rice, rule change came up last week, or I guess permissions were granted last week, if I'm not mistaken. NIL deals in high school. Where are you at? What information do you have on it, and how does it work moving forward?
The only stipulation I understand is kids can't promote or wear their high school gear in commercials and things like that. Here's where I like this, and it's one of the biggest reasons that I like NIL in college, and it doesn't have anything to do with most of what we've talked about today. This allows high school kids who have some notoriety and some success to give lessons at the places where they've trained, and that's going to be huge for kids in baseball, softball, volleyball, soccer, even to a certain extent basketball and football, but I think mostly all those other sports, those kids could give lessons before, but none of these places could promote them in any way. So now they can. And I think D1 training here in Knoxville has already signed a bunch of kids that were already giving lessons at their place, but now they can promote that. I think that's a great thing for kids. You're going to have some people like Quinn Ewers, that's now the quarterback at Texas. Remember, he left Texas to go to Ohio State for a year because high school kids in Texas couldn't get NIL deals. You may have one of those a year in every state that somebody's overpaying because they're good at football. But I think mostly this is a really good thing for kids in other sports who are looking to just make a little money on the side in training or in doing an appearance at their dad's dealership. You couldn't do that before. You couldn't. We have a business partner who has a couple of kids who are pretty good athletes, but they couldn't appear in ads for his dealership. And one of his associates that runs another dealership could put his daughter in his ads because she's not an athlete. It didn't make a lot of sense, and I think the big deals that people are worried about are going to be few and far between, but I think overall this is good for kids.
Right. Quickly, Brian, on the way out, I was encouraged by the Lady Vols' performance at Stanford. I know there are no moral victories in sports, but with as up and down and inconsistent of a year it's been, for them to go out there and play as tough as they did with Stanford, I thought was very encouraging.
Yeah, I think they've played better here over the last few weeks. you look at the losses, and again, no moral victories. All their losses are to teams ranked in the top 20, and including number 2 on Sunday, number 3 Ohio State, number 4 Indiana, depending on the poll you're looking at. This is a team that is battle-tested and ready to play in the SEC. Now, they've got to go win the games. That's the important thing. People that only watched the Ohio State game and saw all the turnovers, they've had single-digit turnovers in each of the last 3 games. You say, okay, well, UCF and whoever it was, Wright State a week ago Sunday. Well, then you went and turned the ball over 5 times at Stanford against a team that feasts on steals and points off turnovers. That's a huge point of pride for Tennessee now. It's a huge point of emphasis, and I think it's going to serve them well as they go on the road in the SEC. One more game against Wofford 2 days after Christmas, and then it's on to SEC play, starting with Florida and Alabama, who are 2 teams that, if they don't have your full attention, they're going to have an opportunity to beat you. But I think where this team is right now, it's tough to preach patience when you're talking to a program that has the expectations that the Lady Vols have. But I'm really encouraged with where they are at right now and how they've responded to the loss at Tamari Key.
Brian Rice, 99.1 The Sports Animal in Knoxville, voice of the Lady Vols. Brian, appreciate it as always. Merry Christmas to you and your family.
Yes, indeed.
Gentlemen, Kayla, Merry Christmas. Appreciate y'all having me on all year. Look forward to doing a lot in 2023.
Appreciate it.
Hey, be Rice.
Spicy. Not as spicy as he has been in other appearances on this show, but Brian Rice here on Ramon, Kayla, and Will. Up next, why we should all be more like Roger McCreary. This is 104.5 The Zone. Oh, we're letting this go.
Come on. Come on, Bird.
Come on.
Just vibe, man.
Waiting for Kayla to have crunk face on the
Kayla.
video.
Not on this.
No.
This is no crunk.
This is just.
This is like smooth, like in your feelings.
This is one of those, like, when you riding down the interstate and you just catch a vibe and you don't even realize you up on your exit now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In my feelings. Who wants to do that?
Hey.
750.
Ramon sure doesn't.
Ramon, Kayla.
Don't do feelings.
He doesn't do feelings. He would not be a good writer in the music business.
1045.
He'd be like, I don't show my feelings.
I internalize it, though, Kayla, in a good way.
Well,
I talk to my people.
My goodness.
I have more
You
conversations.
do talk to your people.
I
That's
do.
fair. You
I
do
get
talk
it
to your
out.
people. Yeah.
I don't show it. I get it out. I was told this by my veteran, Alejandro. You got to have a good circle of people to vent to.
There you go.
I have my moments. I have them all the time. One of my best things I've done this year, actually, is being more open with my wife.
Good.
Good for
That's
you.
a good thing.
She even says, like, you don't show it.
Yeah,
Like, how
that's
am I supposed to know? I was like,
Yeah, it's a tough thing.
you know what my response was? Hell, I thought you knew.
Nope. Don't assume.
No.
Assume makes a you know what out of you and I.
I was just like, but I've gotten so much better in that department, though. Oh, yeah.
That's important.
Adam in the chat. Who's yawning? Time to wake up. Hey, Adam.
Yeah, come on. I don't know.
Ramon Foster, Kayla Anderson. I'm Jonathan Schaefer in for Will Bowling. Merry Christmas to everyone. Happy holidays and stay warm this week and this weekend because Saturday's game could be the coldest in Titans history, and we'll get even more into that with Rhett Bryan later in the show. The current record, the New Year's Eve game, 2017, that matchup with the Jags, the kickoff temperature was 23 degrees, a wind chill of 16 degrees. Right now, the forecast for Saturday calls for a high of 23 with 10 to 15 mile per hour winds. We're looking at the wind chill being very nasty, but we could all take a bit of a cue from Roger McCreary. Now, this was from yesterday just outside St. Thomas Sports Park, and we want to give courtesy to the Queen, Teresa Walker, for this. Roger McCreary talking about playing in the cold weather.
Yeah, I heard it's going to be really cold, but Green Bay, that was really the first big test right there because I never seen snow that much, really, but, like, it was snowing, so I feel like that was a good test for me. But this game right here, like, they said it's going to be real cold, but really, I say it's all mental, it's all in the head, so I feel like I'm going to be good at the end, but yeah, it's going to be cold. I can already tell.
Do you use all the extra things they get ready for a game like this? Like, what particularly do you use?
First, a heater. I gotta be close to the heater. Them heaters on the sideline, that be working out good for me, I would say. But like it's all mentally, I would say. It's not like a big challenge for me. I feel like I paid the rent.
So when I talked to Roger McCreary earlier in the season, he made it clear that he hates cold weather. He's from Mobile, Alabama. He went to Auburn. It doesn't get too cold in Alabama. I've lived there. And so I knew, like, okay, this is going to be a different type of cold. Like Green Bay, you had a little bit of snow. It was cold. But this is going to be the first real cold you have here in Nashville.
Yeah.
And his answer literally lit up my face. Like, just the way he talked about it, it was like, oh man, I really don't want to do this, but you know what? I have to. I'm a pro now. But the heater, like, I got to be by the heater as much as I can. That's truth. Because that kid is, he is not used to that cold weather.
Yeah.
Ramon, you played in cold weather a lot.
Everything he said is true, baby. It's mental, but hear me out. There's perks in being starters, and one of them is when you come off the field, hey, young fella, get up. That's my seat now. Like, oh my gosh, you get that heated bench. That's how you survive. He ain't lying. He ain't lying.
Do you do like the thermal stuff underneath?
I never did that. You know,
he says he just puts the petroleum jelly.
Yeah, that's where I was. We had that in warm skin and capsaicin. You just can't put capsaicin in the wrong place. We had other people, too. A lot of people started using this. I won't say a lot of people, probably about 5 guys. Wetsuits.
Makes sense.
What?
Surfing wetsuits.
Really? But you just got to make sure you can move, right?
Yeah, and I saw linemen, I saw tight ends do it, DBs, like wetsuits is what people wear. Yep, the surfing wetsuit.
Dylan on the Zone chat, it's always mental until you can't feel your face.
Yeah.
Hour 3, Scout Meeting Wednesday with the big homie, Ramon Foster. Up next, this is 104.5, The Zone.
It's 8 o'clock. What's going on from the Superbook.com sports desk? I'm Robert Walsh. Titans had another lengthy injury report yesterday as 9 players did not practice, including Dylan Radunz, Ryan Tannehill, and Ben Jones, who was out with a concussion. Jeffrey Simmons, NPF, Amani Hooker, Aaron Brewer, and Danico Autry were all limited, and Traylon Burks was a full participant. Texans don't have as many players on their injury report, but still some big names as left tackle Laramie Tunsil, first-round pick Kenyon Green, and Nico Collins did not participate. And tonight in bowl action, starting at 9 p.m., the R&L Carriers New Orleans Bowl, you can see Western Kentucky take on South Alabama on ESPN. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and the Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Leaving the locker room of halftime into the third quarter of today's Ramon, Kayla, and Will on 104.5 The Zone, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors. When trust matters, count on All Four Seasons Garage Doors in Nashville. Professional garage door installation and repair from a locally owned and family-run business. Visit allfourseasonsgarages.com/Nashville. 11-year NFL veteran and, just as importantly, VFL Ramon Foster.
Yay.
Putting the capital J into journalism. It is bold, italicized, and underlined. She is Kayla Anderson.
You added the underline today.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right.
I did yesterday, too, actually.
Oh, I must have just not heard that
Yeah,
one.
I'm glad you could make it to the show. I'm the best producer in the world, or so I've been told. Jonathan Shaffer.
Best producer in the world.
In for Will Bowling. And we have, doing my job today, the best substitute teacher in the world. He is Robert Walsh. Don't call him Bart. We call him Bert.
Bert.
You really are. Just looking at you, Bert, because the people don't see you on camera at the moment.
Right.
You look like every substitute teacher I ever had in school.
You had some
really
cool
do.
That's
substitute
awesome.
teachers, man. I had
Yeah.
a bunch of old ladies who were like, do this pamphlet, fill this out. I'm a lunch lady on the side.
We had a few of those too, but yeah,
great.
you would have been the town hippie substitute teacher where I came
Where I
from.
just rolled in a van, and as soon as the door
Yeah.
the smoke goes out, smoke on the water,
Yeah.
Deep Purple's blasting in the
rolling
background.
the TV into the classroom because ain't nobody doing any work today.
Y'all are watching Bill Nye, and you're going to like it.
That's right.
I'm here for that.
I was just going to say, I'm here for Bill Nye.
Bill
Nye, the science guy.
Bill Nye, the science guy.
Bill.
What a cool dude. He's on social media too, man. He's out here just doing like he's like graduated to like old cool guy stuff now,
Yeah,
man.
Bill Nye's great.
Was he on PBS?
I think so.
Because
Yeah.
Was it
I
PBS?
watched
Was it
Bill
Nickelodeon
Nye
too?
and
Nickelodeon, too.
Nickelodeon,
Yep.
and then I watched Ghost Rider, that was also like a PBS, which was a phenomenal show.
No, it was great. I love. See, we're gonna have more of these childhood memories throughout the week and the
Memories.
weekend with the holiday weekend coming up. Of course, Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays to all you Ratchet fans out there. Unfortunately, a little sad news coming into today's show. This news literally broke just as we were starting the show today. NFL legend and the man that made the Immaculate Reception possible, just 2 days away from the 50th anniversary of the Immaculate Reception, and also a few days away from formally retiring his number with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Ramon, one of the true icons of the sport, Franco Harris, dead at the age of 72, passed away overnight.
Yes, indeed, man. I saw some people on social media was like they hadn't retired his number yet. Well, if you retired every legendary player that they had, it'd be a whole locker room full of jerseys around. So they're very selective.
Because technically there's only 2 numbers right now retired.
Yeah.
There's a gentleman named Ernie Stautner way back in the day.
Way back, yep.
And then Mean Joe Green.
Yeah, who, by the way, and those are the 2, but his other numbers just not passed out.
Right. Yes.
If I'm not mistaken, Troy's not passed out.
Yeah. 12's not passed.
12's not passed out. There's a few that's just not passed out.
Your
which is the way
number
to do it.
was passed out almost immediately after you left.
To a defensive
Here, have
lineman.
it. Take it.
To a defensive lineman at that, okay, who was cut. They also, I almost felt bad. I knew they was gonna pass my number out when they passed out Casey Hampton's number. And Casey Hampton, to me, was like a legend. It was like, they gave Hamp number away.
In my opinion, not to go too far down this track, but Big Snack should be in the Hall of Fame.
He should be in the Hall
One of the best in that position during that time.
It's hard to find. It's
Nose
like
tackle.
interior guards. It's like interior linemen.
Yep.
Like it's hard to put like nose tackles into the Hall of Fame.
Yeah,
Other than Goose, is Goose in?
I don't know.
Sarah Goose?
Have to
No.
look it up.
I guess we can ask somebody.
Yeah, Bert would know as a Ravens fan.
Who would know that answer?
I don't
Bert?
think Goose is in. It's just very difficult, as you mentioned, to have interior linemen
Yeah.
offensively or defensively.
Yeah.
Took Alan Fanico a while, one of the great guards in
Him a
Steelers
while.
history.
Hutchinson, too, was a while for him.
Yeah, a little bit of time. But the point being, unfortunately, the passing of Franco Harris, and this is somebody that you had a chance to spend some time with over the years.
It was, man, very significant to me. When I saw it, I was like, no way. Because of the weekend that's coming up, because, it's a big ceremony for him, man. I thought he was, of course, in good health. He's 72. Still relatively young. A lot of business dealings. Just been a man of the people for the most part around all of Pennsylvania, honestly. So tough to kind of hear that.
So the news of Franco Harris passing away as our show started this morning. On a little bit of a lighter note, the 2023 MLS schedule was released, which on this show takes on more importance because of Ramon Foster pledging his allegiance to the boys in gold and Nashville SC, who actually tweeted you back the other day.
They did. They said, we're going to make this a thing.
The season will kick off on Saturday, February 25th. That's it's still got a chance to be cold.
Y'all, when it comes to soccer, one thing about soccer is these guys never really stop. Like the soccer season, if you look at it, is long and there's minimal breaks in between.
Oh, yeah.
And even when they have the breaks, it's like they're training.
Yeah.
So it's crazy because you're like, wait, we just ended the season and they're starting in February.
Yeah.
But that's what it is. Like, it's crazy. We always had a running joke at News 2 in the sports office, like, oh, yeah, it's still soccer season. Like, it's still going.
February to November.
Yeah.
Looking at the doggone season tickets, man.
Well, before we get into that, season kicking off Saturday, February 25th, and Nashville SC is actually the first game of the season. It's opening the MLS slate. Nashville SC hosting
That's big.
NYCFC. Okay, Ramon, what does NYCFC stand for?
New York Football Club.
Wow.
You're close. You're close.
Yeah.
New York City Football Club.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
You did better at that than I
There we go.
expected.
Point for you.
Hey, man, look, I can context clues my way through some stuff.
I was just
You
going to
hear me?
say, I think you kind of fell into that, but yeah,
I
you did well.
And sometimes when it's good, it's good, right?
So are you going to make the commitment to be at Geodis Park at 3:30 Saturday, February 25th?
If I don't have baseball or basketball tournaments, which that's that
All right,
time
now
of year,
here's the problem.
yeah,
A lot of the games are on Saturday and Saturday afternoons.
I'll make a commitment. And we got to do outside other sports stuff too as a family. We do way too much football, basketball, baseball. We got to do other things. So yeah, I'm making a commitment to make it to 5 matches this year.
And he's going
At
to
least 5.
I was just going to say, you got to do
have the first kick.
At least 5.
the first kick. That was.
I would just love for you to go there. Can
First
I
kick.
do the first kick, guys?
All right, now it's going to be a thing.
See, now he's going to
First
try to
kick.
make it happen.
I am going to try
He's
to
gonna
make it
You're
happen.
going to make
it.
this. You are going to manifest first kick into.
Into American soccer. Yes.
Yeah, look at this.
Yeah, first kick. I don't see why that's not a thing already. You mean to tell me we can't bring kids or adults who are young into this sport out there and drop the ball into the middle of the pitch and say, hey, that's the first kick, now get off the field?
So they have to have an open goal then. There can't be a goaltender.
No, because
you're not that skilled.
In soccer,
Like, just put you in place a little.
out of a job.
Wow.
Hey.
all is fair.
I got
Hey,
plenty.
You ain't wrong.
All is fair.
You ain't wrong.
All is.
You're not
Don't
wrong.
should. Hey, you come.
Karma's a whatever.
Hey,
we
you
go.
come
Here we
for
go.
me.
You know the saying.
I keep receipts, don't I, y'all?
Yep, and so do I, bro.
Yeah, that's all
So
I'm
do I.
saying. That's all I'm saying.
Ramon is
So do
Lawrence
I, bro,
Fishburne
bro.
in The Matrix. You got not The Matrix, but in John Wick. You coming after the cake.
You bet not miss,
You
baby.
best cut him quick.
I'm telling you. But what I'm saying is this: the first kick should be cool. I know in soccer the ball has to be initiated from one person to another. So I think it'd be a cool idea to add into the fact that look, bam, drop the ball into the center, wave to the crowd, kick the first kick to the ref.
Now,
I think that's okay.
No, that to the ref.
Yeah.
no, wait a minute. Oh, all right. To be
No.
fair,
Not to
to
the
be fair
ref.
with Ramon, it's basically like the ceremonial puck drop at a hockey game. You know, where they just drop. First kick can be like the ceremonial.
If you're
puck drop at a hockey
incorporating
game.
something new, get a little more creative with
Okay.
it, though.
First
Well, then
kick ain't
what should
good
he do
enough?
then?
You go into, that's what I just said,
Yeah.
into the net.
I wasn't listening.
You got to show off your
Go into
skills a
the
little
net.
bit. I don't care.
He said I wouldn't listen.
You think I care?
Hold on, first
I live
kick.
with the person who doesn't listen. Come on.
Man, you be on my God, Trav, man. We gotta.
Sorry.
Hey, Trav, text me. Blink twice if you're not okay.
Do you realize who's the only female in this room?
I know.
This woman.
I know.
Yeah,
I'm
I know.
responding
Hey,
to you not listening.
I know. That's
So-
why we're all kind of scared.
Yeah.
Exactly.
First kick is a thing, I'm telling you.
So I'm just saying, why not pit it into the, like,
Put it
act
into
like
the
you
goal.
have a little bit of skill. You don't need a goalie in there. And then
Okay.
just first kick.
I do mine like
Into
Messi
the goal.
too on this.
That's what I'm saying. You can
yeah,
get
on
creative
this-
with how you want to do
on
it.
his penalty. Did you see how smooth it was? I just thought he was gonna just vroom. He went 1, 2,
Phrasing?
3, 4, and kicked it into the
That's-
goal.
yeah.
Yeah, it was
Phrasing?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, Kayla, I'm
Yeah,
with that.
see, I'm
would-
just trying to be a little creative.
So,
Okay.
will you be able to nutmeg the opponent with the ball? Do you know what nutmeg means?
Go in between his legs. Yeah,
That's one version of nutmeg.
telling you,
You're
I'm
doing
saying.
better than I
You
expected.
guys,
Because
I'm
he
telling you,
studied
man,
last
I'm
night.
out
Doing
here
better than I
in
expected.
these streets, baby, in
Man.
these soccer pitches.
Soccer
in
for
these
Dummies.
streets.
Here's Ramon last night.
That's where I was. I'm okay with that. Yes, Shafe, I will. My kids played it.
All right.
What if you switch
Oh,
it up though?
what?
What if instead of first kick, he was the first goalie, and then he had to stop the first kick?
No, because you're getting into problems.
Well, that's what
Oh,
I'm
boy.
looking forward to.
I don't
Wouldn't you
know.
see it? Love to see Ramon dive in to block a
Yeah,
goal,
you would.
and that thing hits the back
Yeah.
net. The crowd goes wild. Ah!
Yeah.
He missed it.
The last time
Yeah.
I saw Ramon dive, Haloti Nada broke Big Ben's nose. The last
You
time
know
I saw
what?
That's the
Ramon
game that
dive.
made me a Ravens fan, so I appreciate that. I
Bert,
really appreciate
Parking
that.
lot, 10 minutes.
No, come on, man. We ain't got that long to break.
Yeah, buddy, it's time to get down in Dirty Town, baby. Let's go.
Up next, Scout Meeting Wednesday.
That's what we say.
I know.
At this point, that ain't happening.
Go to break.
We ain't even did Ben Jones concussion yet,
I know.
man.
We're getting there.
Right?
We're getting
Golly.
there.
Woo.
You can incorporate that into the Scout meeting too. You know, you're good enough. You're talented enough.
He
You gonna be
keeps
like that?
receipts. That's
Yeah.
what he's good at.
All the
Nah, that
receipts.
was on my 5-2 slow drop.
All of them.
you
No,
you missed my comeback on that
Yeah,
one.
that's
Oh, I wasn't listening. Per chafe.
Oh, so
Sorry.
you take it out on.
Sorry.
Okay. All right. Go to break. When it comes to large home repairs, a lot of the time we homeowners pretend we don't see the warning signs because we're afraid of what we're going to hear. This is especially true with waterproofing and foundation repair. It can be something big that needs to be fixed now, or it could be a small problem that'll become bigger later, or it may be nothing at all. But in these moments, you want a peace of mind, and that's when you need United Structural Systems. With USS, you get problem solvers, experts to educate you and help you understand what is happening with your home. USS will provide an honest diagnosis and stand by their work and warranties. And USS is based right here in Middle Tennessee and is a member of our community. So when it comes to something as important as your home, USS is the company who cares and the company you can trust. USS serving Middle Tennessee, Southern Kentucky, and Northern Alabama. You can find them online at USSTN.com or call them 615-227-2275. We guarantee our best. Call USS. Rudolph.
You know, Bert, all the bad things I've said about you throughout the show today,
They're true.
they are true, but I'll take them all back just because you played Chuck Berry and Run, Run, Rudolph. One of my favorite Christmas songs.
It just reminds me of Home Alone, and it makes me happy.
I love it.
Run, Rudolph.
Me too. Love it.
And to be a nerd for just a moment, when it's Chuck Berry, you don't have
Oh,
rock and
yeah.
roll music without Chuck Berry.
No.
You do not.
The history of rock and roll
Right?
cannot be told without Chuck Berry. So I
Cannot.
appreciate that so much. He's Ramon Foster. She's Kayla Anderson. I'm Jonathan Shaffer in for the loafing Will Bowling. 8:22 here. Ramon, Kayla, and Will on 104.5 The Zone. Robert Walsh, Bert, as he's also known as, spinning the tunes today as we move into a team that the Titans have played once this year, ran all over them in Houston. They may have to try to run over them again this Saturday at a frigid Nissan Stadium. That team, Ramon, is the Houston Texans.
It is, man, and I expect this game to be exactly that. simply because Roger McCreary said it should be. It's going to be cold. You better be mentally ready to play this type of game, and the best way to get warm is to run the ball. Okay. Last time the Titans played the Houston Texans. By the way, this matchup is a little bit more than just Titans playing Texans. This is the Titans' old home. I forget who I was listening to. Was it Blaine and Mickey recently? It was just like, yeah, you mentioned this game, but it still means a lot to the people in Houston, and it means a lot to this Miss Amy Adams Strunk and her family. Like,
Sure.
there's a lot that goes into this game. This just isn't a lay-down game ever for the Houston Texans. But Ryan Tannehill was out last game, too, and Malik Willis was the guy that started at quarterback, and he didn't do much for us pass and go. 6 for 10, 55 yards, 1 interception, 3 sacks on him also. He looked young. I will say he looked more poised in this last matchup that the Titans ended up playing, and you saw some stuff, and you heard Vrabel saying some stuff in his presser about, hey, he was doing some scout team stuff. And Malik is running outside of the pocket trying to give a Trevor Lawrence look, and he threw back across his shoulder and he told him, no, sir. You're here to be a better quarterback for yourself.
Right.
Just give the look, go through your progressions, and stay in the pocket as much as you need to. The biggest takeaway from that game, the one that knocks, Derrick Henry. He had 32 carries for 219 yards and 2 touchdowns with a long of 41. Also in that game, you had Dontrell Hilliard, 8 for 83. He averaged actually 10.4 pop. Again, Derrick attracts all the flies, so Derrick had more reps. Derrick also had a lesser average, although 6.8 is still ridiculous. But when you see 10.4 from Dontrell Hilliard, that says a lot about what their rushing attack is, or their rushing defense is for the Texans. It's not much at all.
Poo-poo.
It's cheeks.
It's last in the league, right?
Yeah, it is. It's pretty bad. So you don't have Dontrell Hilliard, and on the other side of the ball, you do not have Dameon Pierce, who has been their only sign of offense whatsoever. I looked at the receiving stats from last time they played the Titans to now. There's only like a 200-yard difference in over like 9+ games.
That's bad.
Think about that. Your leading receivers only got 200 more passing yards in the last 9 games.
Like, how did they hang with KC?
Just grit.
That's what's crazy.
Run game. That's all it was, man. But a simple breakdown, because you just saw this team not too long ago. Texans 2.0. This is a sad record, Joe.
It is.
It is. 1-12-1, y'all. That sounds like a zone defense is what that is, man.
Right?
I think they're locked in to be the number.
They use that formation in soccer.
Yeah, there you go. Jot that down.
It's not that
They
many
don't.
players
They
out
don't.
there.
That's not
Okay.
true. Good job. You're doing well.
See, he's passing
Dude,
every
he
test.
really is.
I had a buddy of mine text me, was like, dude, stop with the soccer stuff. I'm like, G-Dub, what are you talking about?
No.
He was like, I can't tell if you're trolling or not. I was like, I'm for real about soccer right now. Not right now.
To
by
be
the way,
determined. TBD.
It was 5 minutes.
TBD.
Have a cup of coffee. You'll be okay.
All right, for sure.
No, not you, but the people that are being like, soccer. Just take a break.
Hey,
You'll be all right.
Hey, it's the holiday spirit. Don't tell people what to do. This is how family fights start at holiday functions, okay? If we want to talk soccer at the big people's table, we're going to talk soccer at the big people table, okay? It's football on all day. American football. See, I addressed that too.
Yeah, I know football on Christmas sucks.
Yeah, we'll talk more about that
Okay,
later.
all right,
but
we'll
yeah.
get to that. The Texans will soon have the number 1 overall pick. I think they have another pick from somebody else, if I'm not mistaken, too.
Which is like
Deshaun
where
Watson trade, right?
Yeah.
Is that the leftover from the Deshaun Watson trade?
I think so. Goodness. They have lost 9 straight. And I did put this on there, not as no tease. I'm not trying to stoke them up. Will it be 10? Will it be 10, or will they just stop the buck right there and get a dub against the Titans? Because there's a lot, Kayla, that you got to go through with this Titans team in this matchup.
And if that's another way you look at it as a player on this Titans team, you guys, if you look at it like you're breaking up that streak of losses to the Houston Texans and letting them get that win, that's, to me, I would feel disgusted as a player.
By the way, speaking of the Texans and their draft, they have 2 firsts. One of them is Cleveland. A second, 2/3. One of them is Cleveland.
Oh, boy.
4th, 5th, and they have 4 sixths.
Dang.
Including one from the Giants, one from the Vikings, and one from the Saints. So that shows you they're going to move around a little bit later on in the draft since they've got 4 6th-rounders. But, yeah, this is a team that's going to try to stock those shelves very quickly.
Happy drafting.
But they can't draft. I mean, I said draft. They can't score much, man. They're 30th in points scored, and they're also in 26th in points allowed, okay? Last time the Titans and the Texans met, of course, the Titans won 17-10. They gave up 3 sacks and 5 tackles for loss. The Titans also had 3 sacks and 8 tackles for loss also on their stat line. I said this before. Derrick Henry rushed for 219 and 2 touchdowns. Could this be Derrick Henry week is where I'm at. Robert Woods also led receiving in that game with Malik. And I don't know if this is going to be a passing game or run game for him, but they got to incorporate him. Malik going to have to throw the ball at some point. But the lead receiver.
Well, let me ask you this question when it comes to that. Is that when it gets that cold and you're in the teens in terms of the temperature, how does it affect the pass game or the mentality on how you call your passing plays?
There's methods to try to keep the ball as warm as you possibly can. You go from like the synthetic gloves for the most part to, I think if it's that cold, you got to go to the leathers. The leathers in itself, a little bit more stick and firmness to it than the synthetic, because that synthetic on the air can make that catch stuff like super slick or hard also. Leather gloves would be good because the heat from your hand heats the leather on your gloves. So there's a little bit of like personnel stuff right there you got to look, or equipment.
It's a little bit of the dark arts to it.
It really is, man. And then you might see guys cradling the ball to catch it more this week than you actually see them catch with their hands.
Yeah, because it feels like you're catching a rock.
Yeah, pretty much. It's going to be also interesting to see what field goal is going to look like too.
Yeah, and that was mentioned too a little bit earlier this week about the temperatures and the wind.
Trying to kick a boulder.
Yeah.
Brandon Cook also last time was their lead receiver. He had 4 for 73 yards catching. Davis Mills is back at quarterback. They had a roundabout with him moving in and out of this thing.
What do you think about Davis Mills?
He's not the future.
Not the future.
Yeah.
Good enough. He's an NFL player. He's an NFL quarterback. He's a spare guy. He's a lesser version of Andy Dalton to me in a sense.
That's not going to get you championships.
It's not. It ain't. And I know they went with him because he's steady. He's smart. It's just, we see talent. Davis Mills could go in any college and blow most of the quarterbacks away, barring athleticism, right? But we see him in a pro team, and we say to ourselves, like, he's just okay.
But they've already gone away from him once. Like, that doesn't give you a lot of hope that is 100% the dude.
Yeah. No, it's not the dude. If you're getting benched like that.
And with the first overall pick.
That's and that's kind of where you got to go, right?
For this class,
So you going Bryce, or you going Caleb, or you going Stroud?
You're going to find out.
Yeah, we'll find out.
Yeah,
and
that's a big
certainly
discussion.
find out.
Because it's in the eye of the beholder at that point in terms of quarterback.
Yeah.
Because here's the thing. I was never more convinced of Bryce Young until after that game against Tennessee this year. And I'm telling you right now, if Bryce Young was not the quarterback of the Alabama Crimson Tide, and Tide fans, go ahead and hate me now, I don't care. They'd have lost 4 games.
Yeah, they would have.
That's how important it was. Like, Bryce won the Heisman Trophy the previous year, and I think he meant more to that team this season because of what he had to do. Because what he did against Tennessee was extraordinary.
Yeah.
It was very good.
And, Ramon, you and I had one of the best seats in that stadium to watch Bryce cook.
Yeah.
But my biggest concern forever remains his size.
And that's what I was going to say. You have to be very careful now when you evaluate quarterbacks. If you're going to draft them that high, like, you can't just get rid of them in 2 2 years. I mean, you can, but that's going to screw your organization.
That high, as you said.
And we've seen that. We've seen that with multiple teams doing this. I mean, the Jets are just about to get rid of Zach Wilson.
Which, by the way, to me, his stock just catapulted because of a freaking sidearm fall-away throw.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if anybody and their mom.
That's what happens in the
That was low by me, wasn't it? I don't know if anybody had him that high coming out of BYU. This almost feels...
they do, because they get obsessed with quarterbacks in the draft, and this is what happens. And their draft stock rises for no real reason.
Yeah. I'll say this. At least last year, because obviously the quarterback class was not as deep in terms of the draft.
Yeah.
In previous years, Malik Willis goes earlier in the draft than he does.
Yep.
And last year he dropped to the third round. Kenny Pickett was the only pick in the first round.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And again, nowhere near the class they've got this year at quarterback.
No.
But I got to think if you're the Houston Texans, it's Young or Stroud, and whichever one is going to play the style of football you want to play moving forward. You know you got a good running back there with the Texans, although he's hurt right now. You got a good running back that's emerged there.
Wide receiver, Mechie.
Yeah, so you have a few. You have a few pieces and parts there. But yeah, it's a disaster outside of that.
It really is, man. I want to give hope to this, but it really ain't a whole lot of hope to it. Other than the fact, don't be the ones that stop their losing streak. This is a tricky week, and like I said, we got to get into the injury report from the Titans, and I'm gonna wrap up real quick, so maybe we can get to that. We got to get to that because this is almost even in the odds against this team in a lot of different ways. Other than the fact that the run game sucks, but in the last. Davis Mills, 2,400 yards on the season. He's 13 touchdowns, 12 interceptions. That don't help you win either.
Nope.
You can't be 500 or even when it comes down to interceptions and touchdowns. He's 61.9% completion rate. They've given up 34 team sacks. And what's even worse, too, Dameon Pierce is out. Davis Mills is the third leading rusher on this team.
That is so crazy.
He's got 61 yards, y'all. This is a trash team.
Excuse me?
Yes.
Third leading rusher with 61 yards.
Shafe, you heard it correctly, okay? Their number one rusher, Dameon Pierce, is on IR right now. The third leading rusher on their team, Davis Mills, 61 yards. The number two leading rusher on that team, Rex Burkhead, 80 yards, no touchdown with a long of 9 yards. This team was about as if there's ever a sign of tanking this as tank could be if this is their methods of operating.
That's why you cannot lose to this team.
Exactly.
You cannot lose to this team.
But I'm worried because of health.
Right.
I'm worried because they could just spark. No, I'll be honest. When it was holiday season, I don't want to lose on Thanksgiving or Christmas. I'm doing whatever. Hey, we're going to have a good Christmas. I'm telling you. That's got to be Houston. Let's at least get this one.
Yeah, you got to dig down deep if you're the Titans for this one because we're about to go over the injuries. It does not look good.
So real quick, that was just about it on them. Nothing else special about this team other than the fact the last 2 weeks they have really competed. 27-23 loss to the Cowboys. They led the good bit of that game, and they pushed them. Also, another Texas team. Texas versus Texas. They sign up for it. That's the reason I'm looking at Houston versus Nashville.
Sure.
They sign up for it. And then, of course, the overtime loss to Kansas City. I put lastly, do not take them lightly.
No.
But when it comes to the Texans, and you mentioned this, and this was something you said earlier this week, and a few people took exception to it, that it's a distraction. It's a game that you can look over because the team is that bad. And one thing people have been critical of Mike Vrabel and Titans before is playing down to the level of competition. Ramon, as you know, the fact remains there's still pros over on the other side of that line.
Yeah.
And if you've got 4 or 6 plays that go their way and not your way, you can lose to anybody in this league.
You can. And the guy leading the charge for them defensively, at least as far as the attitude goes, is Jerry Hughes. And Jerry Hughes is a guy that can get after your tackles. He's smart enough to where if he goes over NPF, he can make something happen there. He's got 8 sacks on the season. He's got a bunch of TFLs also. If you're going with Dennis Daly, who had a day yesterday off from practice, I don't know if it was. Maybe he had a birth of a child or something. It wasn't injury specific. But what I'm saying is there's some guys that can find ways to make plays on you. And this is also an auditioning time of the year,
That's
too, for
true.
a bunch of their players. Yeah. Hey, if y'all want to get signed to the future reserve list for the offseason to be a Houston Texan, go put it out on tape. You'll probably see some transactions moving up and moving down from practice squad, trying to get extra bodies, and truthfully getting film on people, too.
Before we go to the break, breaking Titans news.
Breaking Titans news on 104.5 The Zone.
According to agent Mike McCartney, the agent of one Josh Dobbs, the Tennessee Titans
Look at that.
have signed Joshua Dobbs.
That's awesome. Sorry, I just showed real enthusiasm, but I really am enthused.
Joshua Dobbs is now a Tennessee Titan.
Let's go.
So that actually puts 4 quarterbacks on their roster now because Kevin Hogan was
That's right.
on the practice squad. So we'll see
Which you
what
would
kind
think
of
that won't be happening.
Which makes you think that the corresponding move would be for Kevin Hogan to not be on the practice squad.
Dobby boy.
So if you're bringing Dobbs in, you wonder what the starting quarterback situation is with Ryan Tannehill. Of course, I still think that if Ryan Tannehill is there any way that he could go, Mike Vrabel wants him to go. But with his ankles being in the situation they are, the weather being what it's going to be, you're looking at Malik Willis being the starting quarterback as well. But Josh Dobbs, according to his agent, has signed with the Tennessee Titans.
In case they're technically signing him off the Lions practice squad, he's going to be an active roster.
That's right.
Guy, so you don't even
right.
have to worry
That's
about
true.
a practice squad transaction.
Yeah. Which bodes, I see people in the chat saying this as far as Ryan Tannehill goes. So what does that mean for this week probably?
That means if that's the case, Dobbs would have to be on the active roster. That means Tannehill would not be.
Probably down.
He's probably down.
It's a short week, too.
Yeah.
Oof.
That man deserves flowers, though. We can't overstate that enough. Other than the one bad game, Shafe, and the expectation of 2021,
no, but
man.
Here's the question that I want to ask you is that why has Dobbs never really gotten the shot?
Stereotypes, not meeting that friggin' guideline in which teams use. I think Dobbs is going through the same exact thing he went through at Tennessee. You just got to see him play. The practice stuff and whatnot is always going to be that. Given an opportunity like Geno had, I think Dobbs can do similar things in a starting role. He was good for the Browns whenever he was in those games. Remember, we saw him make plays. I saw him come in and make plays. He's a level of professionalism that's there. Why? Teams have who they have in mind. I'm just sorry. That's how it works.
We'll further discuss next. Joshua Dobbs is a Tennessee Titan. This is Ramon, Kayla, and Will on 104.5 The Zone. 8:46. Breaking Titans news from the previous segment of VFL. Joshua Dobbs has signed with the Tennessee Titans, per reports and per his agent on Twitter, coming off of the Lions practice squad. And Dobbsy has bounced around quite a bit this season in terms of practice squads of numerous teams. But if he has signed Ramon off of the practice squad, that means he has to be active roster for the Titans.
Yeah.
And that would indicate that you've got Kevin Hogan already in the practice squad. And if Dobbsy is on the active roster, Kayla, that would indicate to us that Ryan Tannehill would not be starting on Saturday.
Yeah, I think all signs are pointing to that not happening. As for beyond that, I have no idea at this point because we really don't know how bad that ankle injury is. All we can do is see what happened and how he came back and tried to play on it, maybe making it worse. So I think just the next 3 games, I don't even know if we're going to see him.
That's tough, and especially with tendons. Like, tendons are bad. Was it here or did I hear from somewhere else? Somebody was like they broke both ankles and they much rather have broken them.
Yeah,
And
called into the
then
show.
do the tendon.
They did.
Yeah.
So you much rather have broken them than actually have the tendons because the tendons just take so much longer.
Yeah, the tendons and spraining the
Right.
ankles.
And when you think you're healthy, you're not yet either, you know?
And it was already bad
Yeah.
before that.
And the question is it one ankle or two?
Yeah,
Because I wonder if both of his feet are screwed up
True.
in this situation because we don't really know.
Let's go this route real quick, okay? Considering all the hardship that Tannehill's been through this week, right? It's Christmas time, right? And we see a bunch of players getting their lineman gifts. I saw
boy.
Jalen Hurts got his guys like Louis, like travel bags, Louis Vuitton travel bags. What does Tannehill actually deserve to give his group?
Usually
what do they
it's
deserve?
Derek, too, that gives them the big time.
Yeah, what do they deserve to get? That's what we need to ask right there.
Cole?
What do they deserve to get?
You need to get Daly a AAA card for that flat tire he's got.
Oh. Or a twice daily gift card.
There
All
you
right, do
go.
we want to go into petty mode?
Yeah, I want to go there because I'm gonna be real. It was one bad year for us, man.
Did you get anything?
No.
This is what it is, okay? Okay. This is what it is.
That's great.
Ryan Tannehill is getting Dennis Daly a Matador cape because of all the Olay blocks that he's had this year. Thank you. I asked if we were going there, going into full petty mode.
I ain't gonna lie.
That's what we were going in.
We had a so-so year one year, right? And or it might have been I forget what it was. I just remember the gifts, okay? We got like a $12 bottle of wine,
You're kidding.
some custom like bath towels, and like a insulated cup, not even a Yeti.
Wait a minute.
What's
That's
the-
what Ben got you?
Yeah. And what's the best gift he
He's
got
the
you?
pettiest
Best
dude
gift
ever.
is like a custom suits. It was like over $5,000 each. And he flew us to places also on a plane and stuff like that. So he made it back.
He saw both sides of Ben.
I saw, which is why I had to ask the question: what do y'all think he should give him this year?
I told you.
A can opener?
Said Cole.
Cole? They're like those. Me personally, if I was Tannehill or Derek, I'd be looking at him like, y'all can get these gift cards from Amazon.
Now I'll give Ben something better.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Hey Ben, don't tell them.
Yeah. Hey Ben, on the deal.
Shh. Don't tell these guys.
Yeah.
I got you a 6-wheeler out there. You can have a little fun. Shh. Don't tell the other ones.
Tell anybody see Ben drive away with a trailer hitched to the back of his truck. Buy Ben Jones, buy him a cow. That'd be a
Or
great
a farm.
gift. Or a
Just
farm.
buy him a farm.
Just buy him a farm.
Yeah. He'll be happy.
That would be a very unique gift for Ben Jones, like a real cow.
You think?
No, there's like Longhorns in Sumner County. Like,
I know.
Yeah.
That would be, and
All the best things are in Sumner County, Ramon.
of course, we had Charlie Crap on us the other day, man. Charlie Cook.
Yeah, our boss.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
He just lost a quarterback because Dobbs was on the Lions practice squad. I was the one that broke the news down the hallway, so
Take that, Charlie.
Yeah, guy.
I thought Charlie was a cow that was crapping on you.
Um,
I was like, wait, what? Who's Charlie the cow?
That could be true.
I didn't know.
I mean, that's fair.
You know?
Danny in Clarksville is on Ramon Kayla and Will on 104.5 The Zone. What's up, Danny?
Hey, what's up, guys? Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Thank you, Ramon. Dealer for life.
Hey.
So, question, though, about these Titans. So this is 2 years in a row that they've had, like, half the team injured and, you know, keep having to pick people up. And what is going on with the training and conditioning? Look, I'm an old fat guy, so I'm nowhere to talk. But these are supposed to be pristine, athletic, in shape people, and it is every other day. I just don't understand what's going on with the conditioning at the practice bubble over there.
Yeah. That's a fair. I say with Tannehill, his is more game related, tendons and whatnot. That's a fair question. We definitely gonna get into. We had a discussion off air, Kayla, that we could probably just bounce back and forth as far as like what we think and what I've gone through and what I've heard certain coaches want to do, as opposed to what you've kind of seen over the years here.
Yeah, because the biggest thing is we don't know, right? That's the $1 million question that nobody seems to be able to figure out.
Yeah.
And you, Ramon, you said in practice, like when you played, you guys went pretty much hard, right?
Yeah.
And it's a little bit different nowadays.
It is.
You know, and Mike Vrabel is a guy who has been on the record saying like he has taken care of his guys. He knows when to rest them. He feels like they don't have to go 100% all out in every practice.
Yeah.
But there's so many things out there, you can't just pick one thing.
Yeah, and that's the thing about it is we can criticize it as much as we want to and talk about it, but we don't have those answers. My biggest thing is, like I said, they got to take a step back and look at everything in the offseason. What are we doing compared to somebody else?
Yeah.
Jason in Nashville has a gift idea for the offensive line. Here we go. Jason, you're on Ramon, Kayla, and Will. Jason.
Hey, so my suggestion that they need to give the O-line is a box full of air, like nothing in the box. At least they'll have that to pack all their stuff up in their locker room, and you could just give them some walking papers with that because they gave nothing, and they just need to clean their lockers out. That's the best thing to give them for Christmas.
Yeah. Merry Christmas to you. Thank you. Yep. Yep, it's Wednesday. We're acting like it. There it is. Yeah.
Box of air, baby.
Matt in Nashville, can you top that one for us? Hello, Matt.
Hey, man. I just wanted to top that for you, man. This is going to be a good one, man. I think they should get Dennis Daly a mattress, man. All the time he spends on the ground, probably be more comfortable laying on the mattress.
Thank you, Matt.
I knew Matt would come with it. He said, I'm going quickly.
This is your fault, Ramon.
It is. I know. I mean, what you get what you give.
I just can't believe that's a thing.
So that
that you actually had a situation where that happened.
Yeah.
I thought maybe that was, okay. Sometimes
Maybe.
you don't get a better gift because you didn't have a great season.
So you get what you give, so they all get busted ankles for Christmas? Is that what you're saying?
You know what? This is not good, fellas.
Up next, he is the best executive producer in the world, Rhett Bryan of Titans Radio. We talk about the Josh Dobbs signing. Josh Dobbs, VFL, signed off the Lions practice squad, which means he has to be active roster for the Titans. What does that mean for Tennessee moving forward, especially this Saturday? That's next here on Ramon, Kayla, and Will on 104.5 The Zone.
It is 9:01. What's going on from the Superbook.com sports desk? I'm Robert Walsh. Titans with another lengthy injury report yesterday as 9 players did not practice, including Ryan Tannehill, which might have prompted the Titans signing former Vol Josh Dobbs off the Lions practice squad. He will be on the active roster against the Texans. Also practicing limited fashion, Jeffrey Simmons, NPF, Amani Hooker, Aaron Brewer, Danico Autry. Traylon Burks was a full-time participant. Texans don't have as many players on the injury report, but still some big names to look for. Left tackle Laramie Tunsil, first-round pick Kenyon Green, and Nico Collins did not participate. And tonight in bowl action, the R&L Carriers New Orleans Bowl. You don't need 40 bowls in 14 days to figure out where it's being played at. Western Kentucky takes on South Alabama on ESPN at 9 o'clock. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and the Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
.902, four's up. Hour 4 of Ramon, Kayla, and Will on 104.5 The Zone here on this Wednesday, and we're finding out how you act on a Wednesday. The answer to that is really petty. To my left, 11-year NFL veteran involved for life, Ramon Foster.
Yay.
And to my right, she puts the big J in journalist. It is bolded, also underlined, and italicized.
Ooh.
Kayla Anderson.
All right.
Also in the booth today, we've got Robert Walsh, also known as Bert, the best substitute producer, teacher, and all-around good guy in the world. And I'm Jonathan Shaffer in for Will Bowling today.
The best producer in the world.
And,
the world, Craig. The world.
And the best executive producer in the world is Rhett Bryan of Titans Radio. He is what I like to call a Titan for life. Rhett, good morning.
Hello, everyone.
Hi, Rhett.
How are we?
Morning, Rhett P.
I like to call him the root of the problem.
Hey, I answer to many things.
Well, first of all, Josh Dobbs being signed off the Lions practice squad, which means he has to go active roster with the Titans. So fill in the blank after that, Rhett, with your thoughts.
Well, when you guys broke that last segment, I mean, I think you're right about the Kevin Hogan situation because that gets you back to 3 quarterbacks. But there's, you've got 3 in the rotation on the active roster with Ryan Tannehill and Malik Willis, the other 2. So I'm speculating here, but that seems like there's going to be a move of some sort. And whether that's Ryan Tannehill or, listen, there's no question he re-injured the ankle again on that tackle against the Chargers the other day. And, we got a day less in this thing, so it's a shorter week. And you come home from a West Coast trip, 1:30 in the morning. So, read in the tea leaves what you want. But, I mean, I think there's something brewing here. Just like, they added 2 offensive linemen to the practice squad yesterday because that's a dinged-up unit as well. Dylan Radins comes in and plays 15 snaps. He has a knee and goes out. So, anyway.
Well, when your entire starting offensive line is on your injury report for one thing or the other, you're going to be bringing more guys in. So we don't know who's going to be playing the offensive line as of this moment.
And by the way, the Ben Jones thing, that was something that cropped up that I was not aware of until I saw that report last night. I'm like, wait a minute.
Me too.
Wait a minute. Me think, is there a way that if you go through the concussion protocol, you have to clear it to come back? We know that. But you possibly could be more susceptible to just something small because nobody even saw the first thing in terms of the concussion with Ben Jones. And now everyone's like, well, where did that come from?
Clearly something cropped up with him post-game is the only thing I can figure because he was never reported in, going into the tent, talking to the guy we call the Red Hat, the doctor, the independent physician. So it's clearly something that happened post-game. Otherwise, we had no idea.
Yeah, that is true, though, Kayla. You catch one, it's easier to catch another one, especially if it's not properly healed. And I think Ben was because he stayed out, what was it, 2 weeks? 2 weeks is fair enough time, but it does make it easier to get another one within that time frame, though. So that's why coaches, specifically Vrabel, has been very cautious. I thought Traylon, let's go back 5 years, Traylon's playing last week. You know what I'm saying? Like now coaches are understanding it a little bit more. Players are understanding it a little bit more. And I'm going to be real with y'all. The medical aspect of it, the impact test, the way they are with it, like they make it hard to pass that test, which is a good thing. So most people are missing 2 weeks now when it comes down to concussions.
Yeah, and I think as cases like Tua Tagovailoa came up earlier in the year, it's caused the league to go with more finite protocol and definitions of levels of how you clear the concussion protocol itself, which is, obviously great for you guys because health and safety is what they preach all the time. It's important, and that's the way you back it up by actually doing that.
And on top of that, like what could have happened to Ben? Got back into the building Monday, probably felt something that night. Like now that he's had one recently, I guarantee you this: Mama Jones was probably on his neck.
Oh yeah.
Like, what's wrong with you? Don't you dare do this again. So it raises when you got different perspectives in life, and we spoke about that a little bit before. I'm sure Ben's wife was more or less like, "Hey, dog, I know something's going on."
Well, and Ramon, you talk about just not that many years ago, I heard stories in the older days when I was first started covering this team in the NFL. It's like, hey man, two words: Tuesday and cheeseburger. And if you could repeat those back, you're in, baby. You're rolling.
Yeah,
and it's like. That's a whole lot different now.
And so there's a lot of things that are what am I saying? Contextualized now or categorized as concussions. Stingers can be related to concussions. Seeing stars can be related to concussions. Sensitivity to light, headaches, those are all the ones that you know. But if you get a real bad stinger, that's in correlation to a trauma to the top part of your body, and that can shake the brain too. So it's not just the hit to the head. Like there's a lot of different categories when it comes down to concussions right now.
That's an excellent point, Ramon.
Yep. Yeah, Rhett Bryan of Titans Radio joins us here in studio. Ramon, Kayla, and Will on 104.5 The Zone. For those just joining us, Joshua Dobbs, VFL, signed by the Titans per a tweet from his agent off the practice squad from the Lions to join the Tennessee Titans. So Josh Dobbs coming here to Nashville. Of course, that adds even more intrigue and questions to the quarterback position. We've been talking about the offensive line, so let's go ahead and dive into the injury report. Dylan Cole with the ankle. He got hurt on Sunday, did not practice. And Dennis Daly popping up on the report yesterday. Now, you say whatever you want about Dennis Daly, but the fact is that your starting left tackle, not injury related, did not practice yesterday. Nate Davis got dinged up on Sunday. He did not practice due to an ankle. Christian Fulton. And look, you want to talk about a guy that this team is missing.
Oh, man.
And Roger McCreary played great. He was outstanding against the Chargers. But Christian Fulton is a man that the Titans desperately need back in this lineup.
Yeah, and that's the thing, right? You've seen it. I mean, he's coming in for games and then unfortunately, back out. And this is a guy who, when he has been in, he's been a lockdown corner. I mean, he has gone up against some of the biggest names this season and really done his job. And it's hard when he can't be out there all the time. And it looks like we might not see him again.
And it's hard for a guy like Roger McCreary, the rookie. Because, case in point, first of all, the play that he made at the end of the first half was fantastic.
Yeah.
Phenomenal.
And heady to, I'm going out of bounds, I'm going to bat the pass back into bounds, and there is another heady player, Josh McClue, and he tipped it to him to get he didn't even realize it the first time.
He did.
He was like, I gave you your first pick.
So awesome.
And as he mentioned in his presser yesterday, we've only ever seen that really one time. Oklahoma State did that a few years ago where they had a similar play. But that was incredible what Roger was able to do in the moment.
But the lesson learned was he got burned by an end-of-half play against Jacksonville the week before.
Right.
And there's application there.
Yeah.
So he's having to learn sometimes baptism by fire because there's nobody drawn over to the other side because Christian Fulton is not in the lineup.
Jeez, boy.
Ben Jones with a concussion, as we talked about. Terrence Mitchell did not practice with a hamstring. Dylan Radins got banged up with the knee, so now you're looking at 2 left tackles that are on the injury list right now. Ryan Tannehill obviously out with the ankle, and more intrigue with that with the Joshua Dobbs signing. Also out yesterday, Josh Thompson with a concussion. How about let's go to a couple players who were full participants, and one of them, Rhett, being wide receiver Traylon Burks from a concussion. And boy,
I just heard a choir sing.
Right?
Yes. That is somebody, Rhett, especially you would have liked to have been able to throw some 50-50 balls to him this past Sunday against the Chargers.
And I think that's one of the reasons, again, addition by subtraction, that a guy like Chigakonkwo is getting more reps and making more plays because there's no Traylon Burks out there as a first option in this thing. Fingers crossed, I'm going to, stand on one foot and upside down,
do everything,
do a dance or whatever, and hope that Traylon Burks is back for Saturday because they need him. They really do, and he's just going to be one of those guys that will elevate everyone else's game because of the way he's growing. And that's the thing I hate about all this is you started to really see him emerge, and then the concussion happened, and it was a bang play. He got hit right in the face, and
still kept it.
Yeah,
that was incredible too.
Listen, he was Rod Tidwell.
Yes,
from
Jerry Maguire.
Yeah.
Same thing. That was so the concentration to hold on to the ball. It was amazing.
You look at his progression, Rhett, Kayla, Shafe, listeners. If he stays healthy, and even if he has a slow rookie start at the beginning of the season, which he did with of course, the conditioning and conditioning gait and stuff, you'd almost say this kid could have potentially had close to 1,000 with what the offensive options were this year. Meaning Traylon, in times that you need it, he got his regardless. Or either he got PIs behind it. Pass interferences on this 50-50 balls.
Well, and that's why, fairly or unfairly, the A.J. Brown comparisons were there. And before he got hurt, because A.J. had injury issues his rookie season as well, the numbers were projecting to be the same in terms of production as A.J. in his rookie season.
Yeah, I'd probably given him about 800-plus yards this year.
Yeah, had
he stayed healthy.
Andrew Adams was a full participant, limited yesterday. Danico Autry, Kayla, you saw Danico out in the practice field last week.
Could use him.
Aside from Ryan Tannehill, this is a guy they desperately need to have back in the lineup.
Especially this week when you're, again, thinking maybe the defense is going to have to do as much as it's done in other games. But against Davis Mills, not a guy that you've been facing in the last few weeks in terms of top-tier quarterbacks, right? You feel like you did a little bit more in terms of getting a pass rush last week, and getting then Danico back would just add to that because we know what they've done when he is in the lineup, when he is on that front.
Yeah, Trey Avery, limited participant yesterday. Aaron Brewer with a rib injury, limited. Derrick Henry, not injury-related, limited, which we're used to that. Amani Hooker, limited. NPF on that list. Jeffrey Simmons, who's been battling that ankle for quite some time now. It's a long list, Rhett.
18 players,
Holy
9
smokes.
of which did not practice yesterday.
Well, and Kayla brought up a good point earlier in the show in that last year you would get guys back, but not lose 5 more.
Yep.
Where now you're getting a few guys trickling back in, but you're losing them at a rate that's even faster, at least perceptionally, than the ones you're getting back.
Yeah, the attrition is like an avalanche.
Yeah.
It's a landslide. And, literal 1 step forward, 8 steps back is what we're talking here.
So we'll talk more about the Titans, their offensive game plan, their options on offense coming up Saturday. Also, the weather we're expecting at Nissan Stadium, and want to get Rhett's reaction to the death of an NFL legend. That is next here on Ramon, Kayla, and Will on 104.5 The Zone. Elton John bringing us back. Ramon Kayla and Will on 104.5 The Zone. Rhett, I always love when you go into FM DJ voice. Now, we're already in the song, but if you're willing to indulge me, sir.
Sure. Here's Elton John from his Caribou album, 1974, Step Into Christmas on 104.5 The Zone.
Yeah.
I like it.
He's so good at this,
This was,
man.
as the kids say, this
Like
one
it.
still slaps a little bit.
Right? Just like something breaks.
I don't know what it is. This is just a happy song. I like it.
It is
Elton John. I mean,
Gets
what
you
the
in a
hell?
great mood.
It is a very happy Christmas song, that's for sure. Merry Christmas to everyone out there and happy holidays. And hopefully you have a plan to stay warm this weekend. More about that in just a moment.
Yes.
But, Rhett, as we were coming in today, we learned really stunning news, especially with the events planned for this weekend and what this guy had been doing in the media recently. NFL legend Franco Harris passed away overnight at the age of 72, just 2 days away from the actual 50th anniversary of the Immaculate Reception. They were going to retire his number on Saturday. You'd seen all the hype on NFL Network and really stunning news. Ramon was shocked. I was stunned when he told me we came in. Want to get your thoughts on the passing of one of the real legends of the NFL, Franco
Well, first of all, I saw him trending on my phone this morning on Twitter, and I'm like, okay, it's, we're 48 hours away from
didn't think much of it.
No.
Yeah.
And I'm in the car, and I hear you guys, and I'm like, I almost went off the interstate. I'm like, wait a minute, he died? What in the world? And I'm sure we have no idea, but it's like, had he been sick? I mean, is this sudden? What in the world? But unquestionably one of the superstars of the game of football, because he was really good at Penn State too, by the way.
Yeah.
He's a 4-time Super Bowl champion, one of the greatest plays in the history of the game, and like you said, 50th anniversary of the Immaculate Reception. When we would go to Pittsburgh early on, when the Titans were still in the AFC Central Division before the realignment in 02, the late great Myron Cope, the inventor of the terrible towel, we would have a pregame meal, and he would kind of tell stories if you were to ask about things like that. And of course, he would talk about the Italian Army and all the the fans that would show up.
Yeah,
and just
Franco's Italian Army.
Yeah, Franco's Italian Army. But I mean, he's you can't tell that 70s dynasty story without Franco Harris in it. And I was shocked to hear his passing, and especially knocking on the door of the anniversary of an incredible play, but terribly sad event for the NFL and certainly for the Steelers.
I think the best way to put it is you can't tell the story of the NFL without Franco Harris.
No.
Largely because of the Immaculate Reception, but because of what else he did on the field and being an outstanding player and one of the top running backs in the 1970s.
Yes.
So
one would also say if they had replay, how controversial that play could have been on either side.
That's what built to the mystique of that play.
Yeah.
Because actually not even so much the catch, but who did the ball come off of?
Yeah.
Because depending upon who it came off of, the play could have been ruled illegal due to the rules at the time. Did it come off of Frenchie Fuqua or did it come off of Jack Tatum? And then John Madden was always irritated when he was asked about the Immaculate Reception. Because his story always was that the official went into the dugout there at Three Rivers Stadium and basically asked, hey, did we get enough security to get us out of here if we overrule the play? And he was told, well, that's what John Madden always said. That was kind of apocryphal, But it just led to the mystique.
I like that even better.
So again, Franco Harris, who passed away at the age of 72.
Wow. People could really be brash, just say what you're going to say.
Yeah.
No.
And he was John Madden.
Of
Were you going to tell John
he can
Madden
say what
no?
he wants to say, right?
Good point.
Yeah, real good point.
Rhett, where were you December 31st of 2017?
I was at Nissan Stadium, and it was week 17 of the National Football League regular season, and it was a win-and-end proposition for the Tennessee Titans as they hosted their AFC South Division rival, the Jacksonville Jaguars.
How was the weather that day? Do you remember?
Cold. That is the current record for coldest game at Nissan Stadium, which is officially measured, from what I understand, by what the temperature is at kickoff. And for that game, it was 23 degrees. Previous record was in 2014 against your Steelers.
Yeah.
November the 18th, I think it was, and it was 25 at kickoff then. But, this weather.
Yeah,
that
3
is
people in
coming-
this room were at that game.
Yeah,
I was there.
crazy.
That guy was on the field. And,
Yes,
of course,
he
you
was.
were up in the booth.
It's crazy. You mentioned that. I don't even remember it being cold because, as McCreary said, like the heaters on the sideline, it's a foot race to get over there.
Well, you don't remember it being that cold because y'all were kicking. Never mind.
Yeah.
Your adrenaline was going.
That's what happened.
Because that was Zach Mettenberger was a quarter. Never mind.
Oh.
We also had a guy quit on us after that game, to quit during the game, too.
Who was that?
LeGarrette Blount.
Yes.
Of course it
That's
was.
right.
Y'all, I'm sure y'all heard about that,
Yeah,
too.
well, everybody keeps a pulse on him because he was the guy that got away. They needed another position. Through training camp or whatever, and he signed off the practice squad to Tampa, and then see you later. 'Cause they wanted to keep him.
Yeah, man.
LeGarrette Blount, yes.
That
was the
name.
most weird post-game stuff ever. Weird, beyond
Really?
weird. Yeah.
In the visiting locker room at Nissan Stadium.
Yeah, I remember seeing him in line. What you doing here dressed already? And, it's one of those.
Because I'm gone.
Yeah, and what's crazy how sometimes you're just like, man, the good guys just need something. Well, he was a bad dude to us in that moment.
Yeah.
He leaves us, immediately goes signs with the Patriots, and got a damn ring.
That's right. He sure did.
Don't know if he was a great influence on Le'Veon Bell either that season, if you remember what happened.
With a
So
charge.
this weather that's coming in has been developing for a couple of weeks. It was originally over Greenland and has shifted through Canada, and it's coming down through the United States.
That sounds awful.
And so, yes, they're talking. I see forecast models because I follow MemphisWeather.net, which is really good because typically the weather's there before it gets
Right.
here.
Yeah.
Unless it's some kind of crazy Ivan deal and it comes from the other direction. Anyway, they put out a forecast model the other night that saw a 20 to 30 degree temperature drop Thursday night in a 1 hour period. It's like that movie The Day After Tomorrow.
Yeah.
It's like, what? So, this thing, we're looking at 20 to 30 degree drop in a 3 hour window here when this comes through Thursday night into Friday. And we're talking, the Weather Service has issued a wind chill advisory for Friday from midnight until noon because looks like indices will be negative 15 to 17 degrees because it's 30 some odd mile an hour winds and
Do not go out of your
single
house.
digits and all kinds of stuff. So should be the coldest Christmas in Tennessee in over 40 years in Tennessee weather. But I think it'll shatter that coldest game at Nissan Stadium record on Saturday.
So the offense is Derrick Henry.
Well, and that makes sense because they're 30th against 32nd against the
And
run.
he ran for over 200 yards against them earlier this year.
And he's done it, 4 times against him. 167.5 yards a game last in the league in run defense and 27th in rushing yards per play at nearly 5 yards a clip.
Yeah.
So basically,
that's the recipe.
Daddy's home.
Daddy's home.
You don't sugarcoat any of that.
Yeah.
I mean, and given everything we've been talking about with the injuries, that's got to be it. And, of course, the harder part of that is I don't know what offensive line is going to go out there, but they're going to have to try to figure this out to get him a rush lane and, as they always talk about, get him to his 4th step.
Core 11, you expect to be one of those guys out there this week?
Well, considering who all's on the injury list, yeah, I would say that would be because, this is his second tour of duty with the Titans, and so he certainly knows what he's doing.
Rhett,
so, yeah.
Do you remember a situation where going into a game like this that this much of the starting lineup on each side of the ball is up in the air in terms of who's going to be on the field?
The only thing close that I can think of would be the second game that Mike Vrabel was the head coach of the Titans, week 2 of the 2018 season, because that was the week after the longest game in NFL history in Miami that took 7 hours and 8 minutes through 2+ hour lightning delays. And in that game, to add injury to insult, in this case, left tackle Taylor Lewan was blindsided by a fight or a scuffle or whatever and got knocked out, concussed. So you didn't have him.
That was the Delaney game.
Marcus Mariota had the elbow hit on the helmet or whatever and had the nerve issues. So you lost him. Delaney Walker broke his ankle in the first or second quarter of that game. Yeah. And so that's major players, and so this is when, Matt LaFleur was here and they basically just shredded the playbook and had to kind of put a playbook together with what they had, and that was when we first saw Derrick Henry in the King Cat formation, because they ran a lot of that day. If you remember, on the first time that they were going to punt on special teams, they had a fake punt, and it was Kevin Byard to Dane Cruikshank for 66 yards and a score, just to do whatever they could. If they could hit on a play, hit it, because it's a piecemeal patchwork thing. That's the closest I can remember in recent history.
So we're playing quarterback roulette now with the signing of Josh Dobbs today, because he would have to be in the active roster being signed off the Lions practice squad. That's given every indication, not officially, but giving us every indication that Ryan Tannehill will not be playing. So what does Saturday look like with Malik Willis as the starting quarterback?
Well, the thing with Malik, and I think you saw this in the series that he was in with the Chargers, and look, for everybody that's wanting changes and all these things, I am not saying that Malik is like ready to win the world, because he's still working on that. But he is learning, and that light switch, maybe all the way on, but it's flickering. He's getting into the things that he needs to in terms of command of the pocket and the huddle, and just the
poise.
Yeah, just the things that you need. And then he's clearly, because Amy Wells and I were talking about this on Monday, about he was actively looking at the Microsoft Surface tablet in that series with Ryan Tannehill, and was very interactive. Whereas before, he's looking at Chinese hieroglyphics, right? And so, you can see there's things that he's making progress. And I don't know about you, but it didn't seem like the moment swallowed him up when he went into that game the other day. And he's got 2 starts under his belt. And here's the other part of it. One of those first 2 starts was against the Houston Texans, a team he has already seen. So I'm interested to see what he does to put in the short week of practice in this, and what he has retained going forward, because that, to me, gives him a little bit of an advantageous position. Because he's got something, even though it's a small sample size, to pull from.
And that's what I really liked about, I guess, Malik Willis, is seeing just how much more comfortable he did feel, because then everybody around him feels a little bit more comfortable. Okay, he feels like the moment's not too big for him. We got to go out here and do our jobs as well. And I know Roger McCreary said it yesterday when asked about Malik Willis, like, what is it that you like about this guy? And he said the positivity. Like, this guy exudes positivity.
It shoots out of his fingertips. And he almost glows a little bit, because he has $1 million smile, just like the guy that I used to cover named Steve McNair. But he never seems like he has a bad day, or that he's down, and he's always engaging and friendly. The positivity he exudes, I would 100% agree with Roger McCreary. And listen, that's something that, quite frankly, this team needs right now in a 4-game slot.
Yeah.
I'm glad you mentioned that, because you heard Kevin Byard after the game, where Kevin clearly was very frustrated with where this team's at right now.
They all are. Listen to Derrick Henry yesterday.
Well, and that's why I wanted to
hear him.
That's why I wanted to ask you, taking us back to LA and just the atmosphere around that team and everything. We haven't seen anything like that in quite some time, to where basically it's just frustration on, like, what do we have to do to get a victory right now?
And it comes down to all the things that Coach Vrabel's been talking about for weeks, is guys winning one-on-one battles, eliminating penalties. I mean, the penalties, they only had 6 penalties, but half of those were drive killers on Sunday. And ended up being the difference in the game, ultimately, because of field position. Thank goodness you have a rookie punter in Ryan Stonehouse who can flip the field for you, because he had 3 60-plus yard punts in the second half alone.
Been saving grace, man.
Oh, he's unbelievable.
Making other teams' offense go the long distance. Like, that's
make them earn it.
Yeah.
Make them earn it. But you've got to do all those fundamental things. And then at the end of the day, you've got to have somebody out there healthy to help, and you have to have a lucky bounce of the ball. That's really what this stuff comes down to after the execution and what you put in prep. Right?
Yeah, it is.
You know it.
I know. That really is what it is, man. And just like you said, just the amount of bodies, and not just bodies, right? Let's just be real with this, too. the quality of the bodies that you're asking for to be out there too. That's what's been lacking. All right, that point hadn't been stated enough, I don't think, on any platform when looking at what this team's kind of been going through. Fair or unfair, that's not a winning recipe.
I'll see that quality, and I will give you another one, another step further in when you've got reserves playing with a Duke's mixture of ones or whoever, the cohesiveness in those things.
Yeah.
Malik Willis runs a show team with reserves.
Yeah.
He's not running with the ones.
Yeah.
And so there's sometimes a disconnect there with timing and communication and all of those things that they all work on, but that just makes it more difficult.
I had to convince myself, and this is probably wrong on me, I had to convince myself to like the backups when they were coming in. Because it's
competitive
different.
nature.
It's competitive nature, and it's like, where's my guy?
Yeah.
I want my
they
guys.
didn't earn that yet.
Yeah, you feel me? Like my dude earned this throughout throughout camp, and there was a level of like expectation, like, hey, don't do it this way, you do it this way. Like, and there's a bunch of that goes in and out of the lineup when you having to switch guys in and out. And I'm sure the secondary specifically deals with this because they know each other the same way the five guys on the OL do. Like, where are my guys? Like, I hated it. I'm going to be real with you. Dealing with backups.
That's interesting.
I hate to say that because I was a backup.
Well, you would not like the Titans team right now.
But what you're saying is, I guess I'll ride with Joey Bag of Donuts over here.
And that's what I'm saying, man.
But yes, because we are creatures of habit.
It throws you off.
And you want to be with, I want to look to my left and right and go, there's my dudes. Right?
We make it work, all right? Because we're pros. And you better do something, because if not, camp going to be hell for you next year and you mess up this game for us. Like, that would be the mindset, and you got to curate those guys' like attitudes towards the approach of the game. So Dennis, to me, if I was Brewer, I'd be ticked off at him. I'm like, dog, what the heck, man? There is a level of all of that. And if you have loss after loss after loss, and then you got to deal with, you ain't supposed to be out here anyway. You know, like, you'll never say it.
Yeah.
But it'll be like, well, that's why you ain't even a starter. Like, it gets real rude, man. It does.
And I think that's why the media corps has been asking questions about chemistry and those things, because you start stacking more than 2 or 3 losses, and it's got to be incredibly hard to fight all those things off, because we're all human.
And for the most part, I think they put on a pretty good show, because when I'm in that locker room, I can't sense a lot of it.
I don't either. And I've been in that locker room when there's been some 5 wins in 2 years.
I bet.
So,
I remember that period of time. Of course, Titans radio coverage will be coming up on Saturday. That'll start at 11. Countdown to kickoff. Lee Company countdown to kickoff at 9. And Wednesday means, we've got Titans tonight this evening as well at 6 o'clock.
That's right. With myself, Amy Wells, Mike Keith Bullock, and everybody's questions using hashtag Titans tonight. And it should be despite the losing streak, we're having a good time. This will be a fun show. It's the last show before Christmas, and Keith is always merry and jolly.
And I also want to personally thank you for providing the hand warmers and other warmers for Kayla so she doesn't turn into Kyla this weekend.
Yeah, I was actually going to thank you for that.
You're quite welcome.
Something that I know I'm going to need, because no matter if I'm from the snow, which I am, it doesn't matter, because I will still always be cold.
Kayla, I'm an old Boy Scout. I went all the way through and got my Eagle badge. And the one thing that I carry with me is the motto, be prepared. I try to be prepared every day with everything I can. And you better be prepared for this kind of cold weather, because you can say mine don't ever matter all you want. And that's what these players will have to do. But, man, they're going to need to put on Vaseline on their sleeves. Because that's such a great protector against windburn and those things. But you got to be prepared, because it is going to be cold. I swear this is going to shatter that record.
Yep.
I'm saying 17 degrees at kickoff.
You get to yell at me. My phone, the ringer came off.
You're
allowed to do that. No, please, I want you to do that.
You remember the double standard we talked about?
He
did demerit me.
Yeah, gave you demerit.
Yeah, he did.
So.
I can't even look at him right now, Red. I'll just dap my dog up, man. That's all I want to do.
Just like Jacoby, I was trying to make a play. And it led to Mac Jones getting ran over.
But I think 17 degrees may be the high. I mean, maybe the temp at kickoff, and I may be off by that. That may be generous.
Yeah.
That may be the only 17 you see on Sunday.
I know.
So we'll find out. Come on, that was professional.
That was a great segue. I won't lie.
Brett, thank you.
Thanks,
you
Rhett.
all.
Thank you, Rhett.
Midweek motivation with Inky Johnson next on Ramon Kayla and Will on 104.5 The Zone. Final moments of Ramon Kayla, Will, 104.5 The Zone with Ramon Foster, Kayla Anderson. I'm Jonathan Shaffer along with Robert Walsh. As Inky Johnson, midweek motivation coming your way in a matter of moments. Fortunately, we've had to talk about a lot of sad news today. The passing of Franco Harris. Also talked about Mike Leach's memorial service. Zakai Ziegler featured in The Athletic recently, and I read this yesterday. Please get the subscription. Do anything you have to do to read this article because it was a fantastic profile written by Dana O'Neill. Provided the details of the fire that consumed Ziegler's New York family home. It tells of Zakai's upbringing, his hardships, how his mom, Charmaine, made ends meet, their relationship. And Dana explained how the GoFundMe that was started, over $360,000 was raised.
Wow.
For the new home for the Ziegler family. It reached $200,000 in just a matter of 3 hours.
Yep.
5,600 people contributed to it. Ramon, you and I, of course, were doing the show when all this was going down. And with everything that's going on right now around the world, and we're in the holiday season, and check up on people.
Yep.
Love on people.
Yes, sir.
And from a sports angle, Vol Twitter, Vol Nation, I love to clown with y'all. But Tennesseans and Vols fans, you guys have shown repeatedly, and especially in the case of Zakai Ziegler, you guys are fantastic. Because what it reminded me of, I was here when Hurricane Katrina went through New Orleans. Refugees. People were literally refugees leaving New Orleans and had nothing other than the clothes on their back and their car. And there were stories of people here in Middle Tennessee who took in complete strangers for either a short period of time or a long period of time in order to support those families who had nothing. And I remember those fund drives and those food donations, and you would expect maybe one tractor trailer to be filled, and it would be 3. I'm going back home to Pennsylvania this weekend in a place that I love very much, and I've been down here for 18 years. And one thing that I have learned is that when we talk about the volunteer state, this state lives up to its motto. Look at what we saw at Toy Field and the toy drive there and the giving nature. So I have fun with y'all, Vol Twitter, because y'all are bat crack crazy. You're insane. But especially in the case of Zakai Ziegler, in the case that I've seen so many times, the flood in 2010 here in Nashville and the tornadoes that went through East Nashville and even stuff during the pandemic, there is no better place to be than Tennessee. There's no doubt about that. Another man who can talk about that and provide us with our final midweek motivation before we go into Christmas is another man who's very giving and we're very grateful for. Inky Johnson on the show with us right now. Inky, good morning, brother.
Great morning, great morning. How are you all?
Good morning, Ink. Merry Christmas, my brother.
Man, same to you guys. It's a pleasure to be on. It's a pleasure to be on. I want to start us off, man, in the holiday season. I want to start us off with a quote. And it reads, in life, God doesn't give you the people you want. He gives you the people you need to help you, to hurt you, to lead you, to love you, and to make you the person that you were meant to be. And so I often say to people, practice random acts of kindness, right? Practice random acts of kindness. It's a spirit that comes along with that. And so I'll never forget, man, something happened in my life when I was a kid, and it shaped and molded the way that I still live my life until this day, especially during the holiday season because, we all have different experiences, different circumstances, and different things that we encounter. And I always challenge people just in general, like help somebody, man. Like you never know what it can do for their life. And so when I was a kid, of course, some of you guys know how I grew up. And I'll never forget, man, one Christmas we had gotten, me and my cousins, like one pair of Nikes, right? And it was a big deal because at the time we weren't getting things like that. We would just pass things down. We would wear the same clothes, wear the same shoes. And so when we got our own pair of Nikes, it was a huge deal. And so me and my cousins, the room that our shoes were in, we would always go into the room and look at them, get hyped, talk about we're going to race the next day. And so that night, Christmas Eve, right, the night before Christmas, we was running back and forth into the room, looking at the shoes. We were getting hyped. Man, when we race tomorrow, like, I'm going to smoke you and running, man. I'm going to beat you. I can't wait. And so we probably went into the room maybe 9 times prior to the incident happening. And so when we went into the room the last time, someone had came through our window, and we could see him. And he was taking all our gifts. Of course, he had a gun on him. And it just froze me and my cousin, right? We couldn't believe it. Distraught, right? We were hurt. The guy was taking all our stuff. We could see the gun, right? And so the next morning, my mother got up, and she called my Little League football coach, right? She didn't call the pastor at the church. She didn't call the deacon at the church. She called my Little League football coach, right? And he came, and me and my cousins were sitting down on the curb in our neighborhood, just sitting there, right? And when he showed up in his pickup truck, and he got out, and I'll never forget, he had these brown paper bags like you get from a corner store. And when he got out, he cracked a joke with me and my cousins, because kids were out. They was riding their bikes, playing ball, doing different things. And he said, "Hey, don't y'all be out here trying to take nobody's stuff," right? And I was like, "Coach, you're not going to do that, man." He was like, "I'm sorry, I got the call late. This was the only thing that was open. This was all I could do." Now, I'll never forget, in the bags, there were drawers and socks. Right? It was just full of drawers and socks, right? And that guy still buys me drawers and socks until this day on Christmas, and I don't even need them, right? He just does it. It's something that he does. But it shifted, and it changed the way that I view life and the way that I live my life until this day. More important than the gift, I was extremely grateful for the gift, but I was more grateful for his presence. Like, my guy showed up, right? He could have had anything to do. He could have went and did something else. He could have not did it, right? We weren't his responsibility, but he showed up and he did. And I always say to people during the holiday season, show up for somebody, man. Show up for a family. Show up for an individual. Show up for somebody. People may forget what we do. People may forget what we say, but people will never forget the way we make them feel. Go be great.